Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 28th of November 2019. This is The Gap, episode 495. I'm Luke Lawrie, Joab Gilroy's here, and we're looking like a couple of bums today.
We're
Homeless people.
yep, and I'm deaf now.
What?
I forgot to turn you back down again.
Ah,
So
for
you
the
did your
start.
very vigorous intro, and now I'm deaf. So that's cool. We're looking like homeless people. I didn't think I looked that much like a homeless person, but shit. What are you
When
gonna
that
do,
camera
right?
went on, it was just like, what has happened?
It's, I haven't seen a mirror today so far, so I had no idea. That's why we're radio genius. That's why we're. I feel like us talking about how we're an audio podcast is now a tradition on this podcast. But another
You keep
tradition is
bringing it
me
up.
talking about how I. Yeah, I know. I can't stop. Another tradition is me talking about how I fuck with my mic settings and how. What are we up to? 495.
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah, 495 episodes, and we're still making adjustments. We're still striving for excellence. And I have rearranged my fucking desk
Yeah.
and mic system again, to pursue the dream of better audio.
Yeah.
And this time I may have actually achieved it. I
I
don't
liked
know.
it better before we started recording.
But when you could hear me breathing.
Yeah. That's actually
Yeah,
pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, cool.
You should just
Reminds
talk into it
me.
the entire time.
I've told you. I'm sure I've told the story about the train driver back up in Brisbane who'd always like sound like a real creep. He'd be like, Park Road Station, Park Road Station. You're like, what the fuck is going on this train? It's like the fucking. I think Death Train might be a little bit insensitive, but definitely felt like it was a horror movie train.
Yeah.
And
Next stop, your grave.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you definitely felt like you were on the track, the one-way track to your own demise. Anyways,
Nice.
that's what I felt like I was doing when I was breathing into the mic. Yeah. So medium-sized week, I think this week. Medium-sized. I see there's a game on this list that I would prefer not to talk about anymore, but that's fine. It's
That's
fine.
fine. Before we get to that,
see you put it on there anyway. Yeah.
despite my warnings and telling you not to go see the new Terminator film, you went and saw it yesterday.
That is true.
Why? What
That is
happened?
true.
Was this a bet you lost?
No.
And before we go to this far, please tell me you didn't like it.
Well, we can't do the podcast
Yeah.
anymore. Is that what we do now? We just set
We set
draw these
benchmarks.
lines in the stand. Yeah, we're like fucking. If you cross this shit, it's fucking over. I did not like it. I did like it, and then I really didn't like it. It was weird. So me and Nate did Terminator Day in the grand tradition of Star Wars Day, and then Predator Day. We did Terminator Day where we watched Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, and then we went to the cinema to watch Terminator Dark Fate. And Terminator 1, great. I've talked about this before. It doesn't hold up very well on the big screen, but it's not that bad on the smaller screen on my TV. We had a drinking game where we had to drink anytime someone died, which got really hairy in the police station, and anytime the Terminator special effects looked really bad, which got really hairy at the end. That was a bit rough. And then in Terminator 2, we had you had to drink anytime anyone died and anytime there was a iconic line.
That's a tough one because Arnold. Well, the T-800 doesn't kill anybody, but Liquid Man does.
There's there's some hard to define stuff at the start.
Yeah. A lot of people
And
getting shot in the
then
kneecaps in that film.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Liquid Man goes ham, murders everyone. What's his name? Robert Patrick. You shared that video, and of them talking about like behind the scenes Terminator 2, and
the
so
running one.
yeah. So I don't know if listeners at home know this, but apparently Robert Patrick actually just fucking runs that fast. That wasn't like special effects, or he wasn't like on that treadmill they use sometimes to make people seem to run faster. He is just fucking quick. And apparently the first time they did that take, he caught John Connor, and they had to redo it because they're like, well, John's dead, so
That's the end of the film.
yeah, that's the end. We'll have to do that one again. And didn't like Jim Cameron say he's like, oh, I'm not going to tell Robert to slow down, so you're just going to have to drive the stunt bike faster.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's amazing. What a fucking that's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, Terminator 2 obviously better in my opinion than Terminator 1. Like Terminator 1 is good, but I think tricky. I watched Terminator 2 before I watched Terminator 1. And then I went back and watched Terminator 1. There's part of me that wonders if that in particular may have impacted my enjoyment of Terminator 1, because at some level you understand that Arnie is a robot, right? Or a cyborg, as they're so keen to distinguish in the film. He's a cyborg, even though he's very much a robot. And I think the mystery about that, like about whether or not Arnold is or the T-101 is a fucking robot or not. I think that's a big part of it. Like, because I think if you were watching it and you had no idea why he couldn't be fucking hurt, it would be significantly scarier. And also, you know, the special effects of the time, I'm sure it was far more impressive at the time. Although there was a lot of stuff we were noticing, a lot of like full wide camera angle shots where they did the stop motion thing to make the Terminator move.
Yeah, in the
that
first
just
one.
didn't need to fucking happen. Like there were so many times where they just didn't need to do that because they had the like half model, right? And their desire to show the legs moving for whatever reason makes Terminator 1 stand the test of time so much worse than if you went into Terminator 1 and literally just cut out, I'd say like 95% of the shots of the full body Terminator and only relied on the moments where they used the bust model.
Sure.
That was just the top half of the torso.
Yeah.
And they just sort of moved it along with the camera. It'd be way better. Yeah, it's just a puppet, right? At that point. But it'd look way fucking better. Like, it'd look better in 2019, I mean. Terminator 2 stands up 100%. I mean, mild goofiness in the special effects, but I would say there's no, like, glaring moments of, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Which Terminator 1 has a bunch of. And then, then when we went and saw Terminator Dark Fate, and that was the end of the cinema run, I believe. I don't think it's in cinemas. Yeah. And which is why we did it yesterday, because we didn't want to miss out on it in cinema.
Sure.
Having seen it, I would have preferred to have watched it at home. I don't think it was worth the cinema. But yeah. I'm gonna, like, mild spoilers. Arnie is back in it, and so is Linda Hamilton. And if I'm being frank, I enjoyed that movie until Arnie showed up. It's not that Arnie ruins it, although he isn't. I don't think he's doing his best work. It's just that the movie seems to hardcore fall to bits as soon as he shows up. Like, sort of just they're just doing Terminator or Terminator. Yeah, Terminator 2-ish. Like, the super soldier type thing, right? The augmented super soldier thing, right? I liked the banter between Linda Hamilton and the Grace or whatever her name was. I didn't really like the new Sarah Connor, like the chick who was replacing Sarah Connor, the one they had to save. I didn't really like her very much. She didn't feel like she
didn't add anything.
Yeah, she didn't bring much to the table. But I guess having watched Terminator 1, Sarah Connor didn't bring that much to the table until right at the end as well. So, yeah, but I like the banter between Sarah, Linda Hamilton and the Grace character, the super soldier. I thought that was good. I thought they had a good dynamic. I thought the concept was pretty good. I didn't really like the Rev 9, the new Terminator. It seems overpowerful, I think. She shoots it with a fucking rocket launcher and it doesn't fucking care, right? Like, okay, well, considering what those things do to actual tanks, that is a bit rough. That sort of sets a very high standard of survivability for the thing. And it didn't make sense. Like, it's the splitting out into two separate robots type thing.
Yeah,
just seemed like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted the liquid metal man, and they wanted the exoskeleton. So yeah, they just sort of wanted the best of both worlds. When I don't think that they really carried it off, but I thought it was like quite menacingly played, nevertheless, and it was a cool, like, it looked cool. But yeah, as soon as they met with Arnie, which is about 2/3 of the way into the film, it just
pretty far.
Fucking tanks. I'm just sitting there like, oh wow, no. So I was actually sitting there in that movie thinking, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, it's pretty good. Like, I get what they're trying to do, and I think they're sort of doing it. And then Arnie shows up, and all of this other stuff happens. It's because it's in the last third of the film. I won't go into it too much because, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But yeah, it's like that. No, that's dumb. That's also dumb. Everything everyone's saying is dumb.
Yeah.
All of their decision making is now dumb. Like, what the fuck happened? And then, like, you get to the end credits, and there's like 40 fucking writers. Did you see that shit? Like, there are legitimately at least 10 people credited as writing this film, and I think that makes sense to me. I think at some level they like, someone wrote a really good Terminator film, or at least an above average Terminator film, which isn't saying much. An above average film about Terminator, just to clarify, right? Above average Terminator film, considering how low the fucking average is at this point, doesn't say anything at all. But an above average film about the Terminator, I'm saying it's, it was a good enough film, right? And then they were like, oh, we can get Arnie. Rewrite it so Arnie's in it. And like, but that doesn't, what? No, hang on, we can't do that. Like, you'll do it, or I'll do it my fucking self, and we'll just chuck a fucking ampersand in the credits, and we will fucking bust you out. You won't get any fucking more work. And they're like, just fucking do it then. Just fucking do it. And that's what happened. And then fucking 10 people later, as they were attempting to get fucking squeeze Arnie in there somehow, and kept spiraling down and down and down. It just, I don't know. Yeah.
Have you seen like the fallout between the director Tim Miller and James Cameron, and like
No.
all these articles? Yeah, apparently like he's said that he doesn't want to work with Jim Cameron ever again.
Really?
Yeah, just like,
why is that?
Creative differences. Like, he didn't get to make the film he wanted to make.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. That, again, another I could see that. You know, I could see that on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's odd. I spoke to James Cameron once. Did a
Yes.
interview. Yeah.
You'll never
It
work with
seem
him
like-
again.
It didn't seem like that big a dickhead. In the 40 seconds that we spoke. Yeah. No. Disappointing. I'm not going to go see Avatar at the cinema, I think. Avatar 2. I didn't really like Avatar 1.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not inclined to go see Avatar 2, to be honest. There's nothing in it that makes me want to go see it. Yeah.
I guess we'll wait. Right? We don't even know what that film is yet.
It's a sequel to Avatar, a film
Sure.
that I didn't like. So I know enough, I think. Just, you know, and just based on James Cameron's trajectory since, I don't know. I don't think he's turned the ship around. I think he's hit an iceberg, and the front
Started
fell
to
off.
sink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Fair enough. I went and saw Knives Out as well over the weekend, which was
I wanted to go see that post haste.
yeah. So I think it's out soon-ish, like in the next week or
Yeah,
so.
yeah, next week I believe,
Yeah.
or over here at least. Who fucking knows, right? Did you see that shit? Speaking of movie release dates, fucking The Lighthouse, Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
Mhm.
Will have been available on like video on demand in the States for a
Right.
full month before it hits cinemas in Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Good one,
Good
dickheads.
work.
Well done, fuckwits. Anyway, so how is Knives Out? Because it's a murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
But a comedy murder mystery?
Yeah, like a black comedy.
It's 2019. You can just say comedy.
Comedy. Yeah. Yeah. No, I really liked it. It's good. It's very good. There's a really good cast in it. It's sort of like what I'd say is don't go into it trying, which is what I did, like trying to figure out who did it, because that's not really the point of the film.
Okay.
Yeah. Because so
It
like
sells itself as a whodunit.
It is, but it's a twist on it. It more or less, I guess, resolves itself at a certain point, and then it turns into like a different type of film. Because they're not really trying to do like a murder mystery thing. It is that, but it's like Rian Johnson's sort of take on those old style films and like putting a spin on it. And that's kind of, I think, the problem that I had with it going in the entire time, being like, I know who did this. Fucking like 20 minutes in, I was like, I know who did it. This is so simple.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then basically putting the pieces together in my mind and being like, oh, this is why this happened. This is, you know, and eventually like being like, everyone in here must be an idiot because like I figured this out so far back. But yeah, you get to the end of the film and you're like, yeah, it's not really the point of it.
Right.
They're trying to do something completely different. So I think that was my biggest issue with it. I went into it thinking it was going to be one film and being like, man, he must think we're all dumb or something.
Right.
So yeah. But definitely I'd recommend people go check it out. So it's directed by Rian Johnson, who did Looper, The Last Jedi most recently, and a bunch of other films. So cast is awesome though. Like pretty much everybody's really good in it.
Yeah. Huge cast too, right?
Yeah. There's tons and tons of people, and they're
You enjoy the whodunit stuff, right? Have you watched many of the BBC
no.
Agatha Christie ones?
No.
You should watch them. There's
Yeah.
some fucking crackers, eh? They do miniseries more than movies, but there's some fucking really good ones. There's what was it? And Then There Were None. That's got Daisy Ridley in it and Sam Neill.
Okay.
That one's that's real good. And the fucking I can't remember which role he plays, but a dude from Game of Thrones. He's fucking awesome in it.
Yeah.
There's the ABC Murders. That's got John Malkovich as Poirot, like an old Poirot. It's like the fucking. I had no idea, but Agatha Christie was doing the fucking like retired superhero goes back and does one more fucking case, like fucking 60 years before superheroes existed. So yeah, that shit's awesome. That one's really good. And fuck, what's the last one? There's one other that I really enjoyed, obviously, because I can't remember what the fuck it's called. But yeah, you should just look up BBC Agatha Christie, and you find Ordeal by Innocence. Is the third one.
So that's like where he's sort of got the inspiration from. Is like
I assume
doing that. Yeah,
the Agatha Christie Poirot. Yeah, that's that's the vibe I've gotten from people who've spoken about it. But like it's played for laughs, right? Which
Daniel Craig is in it. I don't know if you've seen Logan Lucky before, which
I have. Yeah,
is like a heist movie where he plays like a character that's able to like escape these elaborate sort of prisons or be able to like break into certain places. And he plays like a really good comedy character in that. And this again is like him just going all out, like with this like Texan accent, who plays like a detective. Like he's sort of the one figuring out what's going on. And he's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, cool. It's a very good film. So I would definitely.
It's very high because I eat that shit up. I eat whodunits up. Actually, on that subject, I went and did. I didn't put it on the list, but I went and did a whodunit scavenger hunt.
Nice.
On the weekend. On Saturday, there's a game called Clued Up, and they do basically you get a group of people together, and you go to a starting location. In this case, it was down in the financial district of Sydney CBD, so down near the Opera House, sort of near the Opera House, and it's a geotagging like mystery game, like scavenger hunt game, where you have your phone, and it has like you open the app and it's got a map. It uses GPS to work out where you are, and then you walk around trying to find witnesses, and then you need to talk to witnesses, gather clues, gather the evidence, although it's only like there's no specific evidence that you acquire. You acquire testimony, right? So it's not evidence per se. It's just talking to a bunch of different people and working out what actually happened as a result. So the scavenger, what you're acquiring are the testimonies of all the witnesses, and there were like 20 witnesses, and it took us from like down near the ferry dock at Opera House in Sydney up to, not that deep in, I think. Maybe most of the way to Pitt Street Mall and then back again, and sort of just looped us around. And we, every time you find a new witness, you have to solve some sort of puzzle. So it might be like location based. It'll be like find ILM and add the digits of when they died, right? And the location you're at has a statue for like, I don't know, Ian Lowell, Manhattan, and you go and it's got a plaque and it's got when he died, and you're like, okay, 1 + 9 + 0 + 9 = 19, and then you answer the question and that's it. Or it might be a riddle. What is it? Brothers and sisters, I have none, but this man's father's his father's son.
You've got two like giant jugs, and one is like 5 liters, and the other one is 3 liters. And you need exactly 4 liters.
You need exactly 4 liters. It's so easy. It's so easy, Zeus. So it was either a riddle or a puzzle based on the location, and it was a cool, like, that part of it was cool. And then when we acquired all the witnesses, we went back and we grabbed a seat. There was a pub near the starting location called Mary's. They do really good chicken and really good chicken and like medium good, well above average burgers. So I just got chicken, and we tried to work out what happened, and that's when it fell apart a bit for me, because we went through all of the fucking evidence, and our theory was that basically it was a conspiracy that was set up by the cops and then murdered, and then basically they got away with it because of the cops all having each other's backs. But there are holes in the cops' story, right? And then we went to put in who we thought did it, and it seemed like the person, like our suspect, our primary suspect, our prime suspect, wasn't available as an option. And then I went back and I sort of metagamed it. So I'm like, based on the sheer volume of typos in this, in the text that we've encountered, because we're like three of us are professional writers, three of us playing are professional writers. So we, sort of casually notice typos when they exist, and there were fucking tons of them. I'm like, is there a chance, based on the fact that this thing is littered with typos, is there a chance that maybe it's not that well written? Is there a chance that it might be a lot more basic than we were thinking? And so we went back and looked at what the simplest answer to this game was, and that was the correct answer. It would be like you sitting in the cinema being like, how the fuck is everyone fucking idiots? Like, it's clearly this, right? And then like spiraling out at like 20 minutes in, and then spiraling out of control and being like, no, it can't be that easy, right? It cannot possibly be that simple. It's got to be, and then establishing this extremely elaborate plot that must have happened, because there's no way anyone would have that little respect for the viewer or player. But it turns out, I think it's not about a lack of respect. I think that based on the people we saw playing it, it seemed like it was very much all ages. There were a shit ton of kids playing this. There were I would say 100. I think there was like 200 teams, right? And teams were 4+ players. There were fucking 500 people playing this fucking game, right? And a lot of them were kids. A lot of them were families. People dressed up. It was really fucking cool for that. This sort of passive, collaborative experience that we're having with a bunch of people walking around Sydney. But in terms of complexity, I think they very much dumped it down a significant amount.
Is that not like just being, where's the next clue, and then seeing like 40 people standing around like a fountain filling jugs of waters?
I 1000% gamed at one point we walked up to because the GPS, because it was in the middle of the city, the GPS was having a bit of a rough time sometimes. It was bouncing. And so we walked to one place and we got the ping, and it's like at the building where you're standing, and the fucking building we're standing at is an ATM, and we're like, this can't be right. And then I looked around and there was like this big group of people gathered around a wall, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to walk over here. And there was the fucking answer. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that wasn't the best detective work, maybe. In a way.
Yeah.
In a way, I solved that puzzle, but maybe not. Yeah, again, metagaming. But it still felt really cool to me. Like, it was still a really cool idea. It was just, desperately simple. And apparently the storyline remains the same across cities because it happened in Melbourne at the same time, obviously with
Right.
different location-based puzzles.
Yeah.
But yeah, we I was talking to people on Twitter about it, and yeah, they also like solved a much tougher puzzle, a much tougher mystery, and then realized at some level that it must have been a lot more basic than they were thinking.
Hmm.
But in exactly the same way. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but still like a really good time. I would love to do that sort of thing again. I think it's a really cool way to explore a bit of a city. I wonder if it's something you could like set up without having to be an event. Like, I wonder why it has to be on a specific day. Is there some way that you could
Yeah.
like just do it any old day, right?
So
And then you
there's
could
that.
use that as
What is
a
it called? Like geocaching.
mm.
That's pretty much the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and I wonder if you could do it to as a sort of a tour. Like, could we come to San Francisco
Hmm.
and then play that game and like simultaneously do a tour of San Francisco that's sort of hinged off the app?
Right. I
Um,
know there's apps that do that sort of like the geocaching stuff, but I don't know
oh, yeah,
if they've got like a.
I wouldn't do it in San Fran either because it's hilly as fuck, right? Like,
Yeah, you do want to be like, yeah, I give up.
oh yeah, I get it. My thighs, my quads are killing me. I want to die. I'm
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Anyway,
Cool.
good times. And another thing before we move on to video games, Mandalorian episode 3 fixed so much about what I was complaining about last week. I think it really, yeah, it really fucking did good work in establishing, like, answering a lot of, or just resolving a lot of my complaints. Like,
Right.
on there, like, you know, there's a reason why he's not the best because on some level, you know, they mistake every Mandalorian for, you know, the one person, and so the Mando has the reputation because it's a carryover of the reputation that all Mandalorians have.
Kind of like
But he,
Jar Jar being the Jedi, right? It's like everyone's a Jedi, so they're all good, and then Jar Jar comes along.
excuse me,
Jar Jar's a Jedi, right?
I'm not going to entertain this
Or he's a
thought
Sith.
process.
He's a Sith Lord.
He's definitely a Sith Lord. Definitely a Sith Lord. Yeah. Yeah, so I just thought, yeah, it did a really good job of solving a lot of my issues with it. Yeah, so that was cool. Just wanted to point that out. I'm back on board with The Mandalorian. Watchmen's still the best TV show on TV, though. 100%.
Cool.
That last episode was fucking amazing. I
I
don't
feel
know if
like
you're
I'm
up to
too
date.
behind or something.
You gotta
I
catch
haven't
up.
had a
Man.
chance.
The last 2 episodes have been fucking spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps getting better at this rate. The next episode is either gonna have to be fucking the best
Could
thing
be
on
filler.
TV, or it's gonna be it's gonna be utter garbage and extremely disappointing. Yeah. Anyway,
Speaking
video games.
of utter garbage,
Oh, here we go.
Death Stranding. Let's go. I jumped into this a little bit more, and I got up to the hourglass mission you were talking about when you first reviewed this game. I guess this was like a turning point for you. This mission.
No. I already hated it. I was already in the darkness. This just cemented. It's just made sure I'd never get out.
Right.
It was just sort of it clarified a lot of what I didn't like about the game. I guess, you know, I knew I didn't like it, but until this mission, I didn't quite have the exactly what I needed to. Yeah, I don't know how anyone does this mission and still walks away thinking it's a good game.
I see.
Staggering.
Well, so what I did was I I got on my little tricycle and just rode to the south side where the Crater Lake is,
Yeah.
and then just straight to where I needed to go. That mission took me like 10 minutes, the entire thing.
No, you weren't allowed to fucking. You had to hold it in your hands. How'd you get on a bike? The hourglass, not dumping a body into the fucking lake.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just ran down to the lake and then ran across. Oh yeah, that's what I did. I put on the power, the speed suit. I think they give you the speed suit around there. So I just put that on. I literally picked it up and then just sprinted the entire way. It took me about 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. And then I did the same thing coming back. You have
With
to
the
carry
chick on your
somebody.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. Speed suit, just fucking sprinted the whole way. I had zero issues with that. I'm just like, did I miss something?
Did you not run into a BT zone?
I mean,
There's a BT zone between those two areas, right?
yeah, but I think they fucked it up a little bit, because if you run directly to the crater, you can pretty much just miss it. Yeah. And you just run along the beach, as opposed to like a direct straight route to the, so I just went up the mountain and then left, and there's no issue.
Cool.
And I literally, he's like, don't drop this thing, and I'm just fucking like Liquid Man through the whole fucking like the hill. Yeah.
All right, well, try to imagine if you, over the course of 40 minutes, painstakingly did all of the exact same thing, only for her to smash the fucking hourglass on the ground.
Yeah.
At the end. I mean, like, it's still a fucking awful mission, right? There's no part of that mission that should exist in a AAA fucking game.
Yeah.
The fucking the character alone shouldn't exist, right? On a fundamental narrative level, right? There shouldn't be a woman who can't speak, who's definitely reading English based on phonetic soundings on a script, right? That shouldn't exist in when she lives with fluent English speakers. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It also doesn't make any sense that like they haven't seen each other for this entire time, and she literally lives next door to the guy.
Right?
Like, it's a 5-minute run in the context of the game, and like he thinks she's dead. He hasn't seen her for forever, and it just turns out she was living next door with her mum.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty dumb. I used the bowler gun for the first time.
Oh yeah. Efficiency.
It's
just about efficiency.
Yeah, man. The combat in that game is still terrible. Like, I got into a mule camp, and people were just like driving up on trucks, and there were people running at me, and I'm just like punching everybody, just punching people. I must have punched like 25 people, and that was it. I'm like, all right, cool, just loot this camp now. Yeah, and then at one stage I was like, I might as well just use this bowler gun, and I just started using that, and I was just like, this makes things like 20 times easier. Like, why? Yeah, my biggest issue with that combat system and the stealth, which I've talked about before, is that they give you all these tools to use, and there's no point using any of them. It's just a constant like, hey, here's this new thing that you've got, and it's like another way to solve. The way I look at it is, if you had a plank of wood or something, and there's a nail on that plank of wood, and you've got to like nail some, the wood to the wall, and it's like, oh, here's a hammer, and they give you a hammer, and then like every 10 minutes you get a new hammer, and it's just like a different size hammer, or it's the same hammer, but the size of the nail doesn't change. Like, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like I could literally just punch this fucking nail with my fist if I wanted to. That seems to be working just fine. And that's what it's like 35 hours in. You're given all these tools to use, but there's no reason to use it. I was watching to put it in comparison, I was watching this Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order documentary the other day. It's like a 2-hour documentary on or an hour and a half documentary on the making of that game. And at one point they're talking about like like a bunch of the skills and the talents that you kind of unlock in that game, and one of them being like a wall run, and saying like you get that ability, and then what you do is you get a series of wall runs. Like they teach you how to use that, and you
Yep.
put that, like, that is fundamentally how majority of games work. You get something, whether it's a new ability or a new item or whatever, and then the game will generally give you a way to use that, to show you what you're supposed to be doing with that. And Death Stranding doesn't do that. It'll, for the most part, like occasionally it'll be, oh, you can build a bridge, but there's a lake here. I mean, you could build a bridge or you can just walk over it. It doesn't really matter. But in terms of the combat, the entire combat is like, oh, you've got a bolt gun now, or you've got these EX grenades, or you've got these other types of grenades, or you've got, I don't know, just like a bunch of stuff it keeps giving you, but there's no reason to use any of that, because the enemies you're up against 30 hours in are exactly the same enemies that you're in, 2 or 3 hours into the game. They're all just pretty much the same. Occasionally, like, like, oh, now there's a truck of them rolling in. Like, they just seem to be throwing more of them at you, and
Yep.
it's just no challenge. Like, I don't think I've dropped below half health in this game at all from any of my encounters.
The only times I died ever,
yeah.
including end boss fights and shit, were when I triggered a hard fail. Like a hard fail in a mission. Like I shook the bomb too much or whatever.
Yeah, shook the baby too much. You can't do that.
And no, like, you're carrying those fucking grab bombs, whatever the fuck it is, and
Yeah.
then like you stumble over a fucking rock for some reason, even though you haven't stumbled over any rocks for the last 45 minutes. And then he drops the bomb, and then everything explodes, and you have to reload a save. That's the only time I died. Oh,
Right.
and obviously on purpose to see what would happen if fucking BT actually killed me, just to see if a void out would occur. And the only way it occurs is if it eats you. I had this fucking discussion, I guess, on Twitter yesterday, because my mute of Death Stranding expired. So I've muted Death Stranding because I found it's making me too toxic on Twitter. Because every time I see someone praising it, like with empty, hollow praise, with nothing to back it up with, it's just, oh, I love Death Stranding. End of discussion, right? Or I love this Death Stranding. It's so zen, right? That's it, right? Okay, cool. Well, that's nothing. You could do anything. Why don't you just fucking meditate? Why don't you put the controller down, close your eyes, and then meditate, right? That's zen. That's actual zen. Anyway, like I said, it's making me too fucking toxic, right? And then the mute expired. I evidently only set it for fucking 14 days, like a clown. So I saw it pop up, and I just couldn't fucking help myself. It's like, oh, someone's talking about Death Stranding. Oh, well, here we go. And so I started some shit. And Lance McDonald, who does like he hacks games to see stuff that most people will never see. Like, he's the guy who found that the chick is following you constantly in PT and stuff. He's the guy I want to hack Death Stranding so we can see Norman Reedus' penis, but for whatever reason he refuses to do it. Anyway,
because it's just gonna be like a Barbie doll. You know this, right?
That's even better. That's hilarious. So he was saying that, I murdered someone. And he was talking about how, the interaction was fascinating. He'd never fucking tested it, right? I've actually tested it. I went back and tested it a second time when I found out it had to be 48 fucking hours. And there's no void out. And there's no failure screen. Apparently he got a failure screen when he walked far enough away. What the fuck? Are cats fucking outside or something?
Probably, maybe.
Cat orgy?
Could be fighting a squirrel.
Oh, maybe. A grey squirrel? Never show up. It's off somewhere else doing its own thing. So yeah, this, like, I've tested it. I've actually gone through. I did the fucking. I don't get to hack my PlayStation. I had to do it the fucking hard way, and I tested it, and I got nothing at all. And I've got it recorded. The bodies disappear. It's gone. Right? Like I've got receipts, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, like it's a lie. The game is built on systems that are fucking fundamental lies. It's bad design all the way through. The what you're talking about, the fact that there's no challenge, the different sizes of hammers is also bad design, right? Giving you the tools to do whatever you like in a world where nothing fucking matters is fundamentally bad to me. Why would you start me on this shit?
Yeah.
Why do you have to fucking bring it up?
Sorry. Yeah, and so like I don't know, like it's come up a lot recently. I don't know. I kind of look at it the same way of like I get that a lot of people like it, and if you like that type of game, that's cool. But at the same time, I sort of liken it to let's say I don't know, what's a fucking bad film that's good to watch?
Bad film that's good to watch. Bad film that's good to watch. I don't know.
Fun to watch.
Last Action Hero? We were watching that.
All right, let's go with that. Let's go with Last Action Hero, right? It's not a good film, but it's still like a fun film to watch, right? And I can get that. I can appreciate that. I can sit down and watch it and be like, yeah, no, I'm enjoying this. But at nowhere would I be like, oh, I'm enjoying this, but also I think it's the best film of this year, and it should be winning an Oscar because I think it's that good. But like that's the sort of thing that I liken it to. Is it like people are enjoying this game, but they're also looking at critically and being like, oh no, it is like it's doing these things that you're like blowing your mind, and I'm like, no, it's like it's bad game design. The writing is terrible. The acting, I don't like. And we didn't talk about this last week, but in the Game Awards, Death Stranding I think is up top with 9 nominations. I think it's 9 nominations. Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus have been nominated for Best Acting. I think it's a fucking travesty that Logan Marshall Green didn't get nominated for Telling Lies.
That's true.
Because he, like, pick any of the scenes that he does in that game and, like, put it up against whatever the fuck Norman Reedus is doing in this game, or Mads Mikkelsen, who...
No, I thought Mads... Let's not talk shit about Mads.
All right,
Mads
but how much screen time does he have in the game? You haven't got to the bit.
He has a lot of fucking screen time at the end of the game. You haven't got to the parts where he's
I've got to play
significantly
the 90
present.
Hours. So yeah, my bad.
But Norman Reedus shouldn't be on there. Like, what's he do? Fucking button to the camera, fucking most of it.
I mean, there's points where you go and do he's the silent protagonist at certain points. Like, there's people talking to him and he's not even engaging them. Like, they forgot to record dialogue for that specific scene, so it's just him standing there nodding. There's no.
That's how it's written. It's not like they forgot. It's written so that people just talk at you. Like, they just fucking talk exposition at you for fucking hours on end.
Meanwhile,
it's just bad.
Telling Lies has like 18-minute monologues, or not even, they're not monologues, but like uncut scenes. Single takes of him like talking, like telling stories to a kid.
Direct to camera,
And again, we I don't want to go into it, but like that just kind of highlights the Game Awards are very driven off of it's a popular awards. Like, what are the things that most people have played this year? You look at Telling Lies, and I think that that game definitely reviewed well. It might even be higher reviewed than Death Stranding, or at least on par. But the difference between that game and like a Death Stranding is that it's got Death Stranding probably has like 150 reviews compared to Telling Lies, which would be like 50. So you've got like 1 in 3 people that reviewed it. Like, kind of outweighs it. And so when it comes to these award categories, the thing that is on top of people's minds and the freshest thing on there is Death Stranding. And so they look at that and they're like, oh yeah, let's pick let's pick those two characters. And that just seems to be just like a trend that's trickled down through all those nominations, like best writing and best audio design and like that sort of stuff. I'm like, I look at those categories and it blows my mind that it's even been nominated for a bunch of that. If he ends up winning best performance, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like personally, because I help in these Game Awards stuff, and when I was putting together a list of the things that I would like to see nominated, like I put the scientist from like Control, Matthew Portia, I think something like that his name is, just because I thought that his performance was really good in that. Alan Wake, and like the comparisons between like Logan Marshall Green, what he did in that game compared to what I'm seeing out of this game 35 hours in is like a huge difference, and so I don't agree with that stuff at all. So yeah, man, I feel like it's going to clean up at the Game Awards personally.
Death Stranding.
I think that sucks.
Well, Jeff Keighley's fucking in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is gross. Fucking gross.
It's great. He doesn't have any. I mean, like, he doesn't have any input in the awards per se. Like, it's media outlets that are voting on it. But at the same time, it is a bit strange, right?
There's a very gross fucking link.
Yeah.
In that chain.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the awards as well are not only popularity voted awards, but literally fan voted awards as well. And Kojima has a huge following, and so there's a percentage of public voting that gets put into this. I think that's going to swing things as well, like hugely. So I feel like it's going to clean up a bunch of awards at that thing that I personally do not agree with at all.
No.
I think there's been much better games out there. And it's that thing of like, I just don't believe people have looked at it critically enough, or people that just haven't played a big breadth of games this year, or I don't know what it is. It's just, saying that the game is not meant to be like, the game's not meant to be challenging, or it's not meant to be about the combat, or it's not like coming up with all these things like, it's not meant to be about that. I was like, all right, well then why is there combat? What is it?
Just tell me exactly what it's meant to be about, right? And we'll dig into it from there. Is it about the story? Oh no, it's not. It's not meant to be about the story. Like, yeah. Oh, is it about the story? Because the story is dog shit. Well, it's not meant to be about the story. Oh, is it about the combat? No, because the combat's garbage. No, it's not meant to be about the combat. Is it about the traversal? Yes. It's about it's about charting a path somewhere. Oh, that's garbage as well. It's fundamentally designed poorly because you are directly incentivized to make it as easy as possible. Oh, but you don't have to do that, right? But it's the most efficient way to play, and like that's game design, is designing around efficiency. So like it's not designing to efficiency, it's designing around efficiency so that the bulk of players who will search out the most efficient way to play will enjoy the game that you are trying to create. That's your role as a game designer, is to encourage people to actually play the game you want them to play. Oh, well, no, but you have to want to do that. Right. So somehow I'm playing this wrong. Is that what you're saying? Somehow I have played it wrong, even though I'm at fault, so, like as the player, for experiencing it the way I wanted to play it. That it's on me. It's not on the game designer who tailors the entire experience towards the players. It's on the player. Right. Yeah. No. That sounds like good game design. It sounds like top-notch game design. It sounds like award-winning game design to me. That's what a great game designer would do, is, blame the players. That's it.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
other thing is that if you at any stage over the last year have said you didn't
Mm.
like Red Dead Redemption 2
Mm.
because it was too slow for you,
Oh, I know,
because it
right?
took too long to open up a cupboard, you're not allowed to argue with me about Death Stranding.
You are
If
not
you
allowed to.
if you
You're
lost your
not allowed. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, yeah. But like on the flip side, though, I guess we did complain about it. We just didn't care that much. It just didn't. But that's the thing, right? That's something I was trying to say as well in my big Twitter rant. Is that it's not like the thing about Death Stranding, right? Is it's just traversal, right? Once you utterly ignore the combat because it's fucking pointless, right? Once you dismiss that entirely, and once you utterly ignore the story because it's terrible, and you dismiss that entirely, the only element of any worth is traversal. And I guess if you didn't like the story in Red Dead Redemption 2, then you could do the same thing, right? You could say that you can dismiss the story of Red Dead, right? Because it's utterly pointless. But you're still left with a lot of systems and a game that specifically and like very
yeah.
deliberately incentivizes you to experience those systems, right? It is, you could treat it like a fucking Death Stranding traversal game where you just ride your fucking horsey from one side to the other. And I have done that, right? And I've enjoyed it because it wasn't fun, like frustrating on a fundamental level to the point of utter tedium. That said, what did I say would be the first fucking mod? It wasn't. I was wrong. But like for me, a competent fast travel system, right? Because I didn't feel like the traversal itself, the riding a horse somewhere and holding the fucking auto follow someone button, was the be all and end all. It was certainly a experience worth having, but I would have preferred it if afterwards they did the Pokemon thing, gave you some item that allowed you to fucking skip that shit. Or did the taxi thing from Grand Theft Auto and let you skip it for an extra fee. Or whatever the fuck, right? It is certainly a way to experience the game world. And you should be given the choice, but I would prefer to also have the choice to skip it because I didn't enjoy it like as a means to an end itself, right? But there's also combat that is actually good combat, right? A lot harder on PC. A lot harder on PC. Oh my god, I'm fucking shit at this game on PC. I'm actually really bad. I don't know what's going on. Hey, I gotta lower the fucking sensitivity real low because I feel like I'm just like a lot of fucking. I don't know, man. In Red Dead on PS4, I was a fucking snipe god. I was just fucking blah, 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 like dudes on like the classic fucking lone gunman walking through a town shooting cunts off fucking roofs and stuff. And in this, I'm like, hey, but I shoot with this hand and it's fucking shaking all over the place. I'm like, pow, and it goes whizzing past one ear and pow, whizzing past the other. I'm like, oh my fucking god, and then I die. Yeah, I'm fucking awful at shooting in Red Dead Redemption 2, but on PC. But it's still awesome combat, right? There's still a lot to it, and it still feels like there's a challenge involved. It still feels like it's worth paying attention to how combat works out and the various things you can do to improve yourself, etc., etc. There's hunting and fishing, etc., etc. There are all these systems that you don't have to engage in, but the game incentivizes you to. It's staggering to think that Death Stranding could come out as a fucking hollow shadow of what Red Dead Redemption 2 did and be lauded from the same people who ripped into Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing a stack of Red Dead Redemption 2 over the last week. Like, once I finished Jedi Fallen Order, that was kind of the game that I've been playing a bunch of. I wanted to get back into Death Stranding, and I have sort of every once in a while played a couple of hours because I feel like I need to finish that game, or at least get to a point where I see a decent, you know, I still want to finish it.
Yo.
Yeah, and just like Red Dead Redemption 2 is excellent. Such a good game.
Yeah.
Like, it's staggering how amazing that game is, how much fun I'm still having
Yeah.
playing that game a year on after it's been released. Just, yeah, like the things you're talking about, all the systems that are there. I think I talked about it when I first started playing it. Like, I'm going to play this as a bad guy this time. I can't do it. Just, it's not working. I have to play it as a good guy. Like, I've tried doing it.
Yeah, I tried the same thing. Arthur's just a good guy. He's just a good guy. He's nice to his horse.
Yeah.
And he's yeah.
Yeah.
It's killer stuff. I jump back in. I haven't been playing the story missions. I've just been fucking about in the world. I really like fucking about in that world. I don't know, man. Maybe I should do Red Dead Online, but I'm not. I don't really feel like doing it. You know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I prefer to play Grand Theft Auto online over Grand Theft Auto 5, but I just don't care to do it in Red Dead.
Oh, I haven't checked it out since it launched, but I know they're always updating it and putting new stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, just not inclined to check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, I'm still really digging Red Dead Redemption 2. It's an excellent game. Like we'll talk about it more in a little bit, but a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's on sale at the moment. If anybody hasn't played it yet, definitely pick it up.
It's gonna hit Steam pretty soon too, right? Didn't I read that?
I think so.
It's finally gonna hit Steam next week, I think.
Let me check.
This time next week, I believe.
December 5th. So
yeah,
next
Thursday next week.
Yep, next week. Yeah, that game is very hard to pass up if you like action or just like action games. I think it sort of sets the benchmark of what we'll be seeing in the next couple of years from like really good RPG AAA games. Yeah. Anyway, what else do we have here? Dota Underlords. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah,
because that's kind of the game that I always. I mean, I play Dota Underlords quite a bit. Usually every week, I'll play a couple of games. I just don't really put it on a list here because it's sort of like my go-to game at the moment.
Yeah.
What have they done recently? They put out a patch yesterday, which coincided with the Dota 2 Underlords, Outlanders patch.
Whatever the fuck, Outlanders. That's it. Yeah.
Which we had in the news, but I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Yeah, and so they've put a couple of new characters in there. So two new characters were released for Dota 2, and they've put them into the actual game for Underlords. And then along with that, they've added an extra couple of characters from the Spirit side, I think they're calling them. So they put in like 5 or 6 new characters in this update with this week, and yeah, it's really interesting. They sort of are really ramping up to changing like the meta of the game every couple of days because they've got that new jail system in there. So every day you've got characters that like you can't choose from. So it really forces you to think about like like not using the same build every day. Like that's pretty much impossible at this stage because of the way that they're just changing the meta every day. There's obviously ways to like be like, oh well, I'm still going to use knights every time, but at that stage, like you can't just use the same, like force your way into the same build every game. So that's really good. And yeah, they updated it with a new mode called Knockout Mode, and it's sort of like this really 5 to 10 minute contained game where you've got a bunch of lives. I think it's 5 lives, and you select from sort of like a predetermined list of characters. It'll be like you can pick like there'll be a selection like 3 different sort of characters it'll give you, or 3 different builds. It'll be like knights, trolls, or warriors, scales, something like that. And then you can sort of select the one that you want, and then it puts you into like level 5 with a bunch of characters that are already predetermined. So you'll be able to see like 2 of those characters when you select them. And the other 3 will just be like
the alliances.
Different alliances.
Of the alliance that it told you it would be.
Yeah, and then so you start off that game, you immediately are given a bunch of gold, and you can start rolling for characters. And the difference between this mode and the regular mode is that it no longer takes 3 units to level up. It's now 2 units, so you can level up really quickly. And then
2 and 2 as well. To go from 2-star to 3-star, you only need 2 stars.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you basically start to snowball. You go up against another player, and the person that wins that match takes a chunk of health, takes a life of the other person, and so they've got now 5 lives to try and stay alive. And it's like rapid fire Dota Underlords. They had that mode in there, like the turbo mode. They had it at one stage. I think this is a better way of doing that, right? Because turbo mode was basically just like a sped up version of Underlords to try and get things done quicker, whereas this is a fast mode, but it is it makes you think about the game entirely differently, because you're getting random characters.
That it's too different. It doesn't really draw, like, it feels like this is the mode that you will play on mobile, because nobody wants to play
a 40 minute
long game. And like because of the way they changed the amount of health everyone has, every game is now fucking 40 plus minutes. This is the game you would play on mobile, right? And it's too different to what you would play on PC, I think. Right? There's no economy management. There's no like the 2 units, 2 stars is there's just a lot in there that is extremely different, and I feel like it's too different. I think, and I think they're going to be careful with that shit. You know, I do like it. I really like it. I just wonder if it's going to be overall detrimental to the health of the game.
Right? Like you think people just move straight across to that mode?
If the bulk of players is on mobile, right? Is that do people just move across to knockout mode?
Yeah.
You know, it's worrying.
Yeah. Like I dig that mode more than them being like, hey, we're going to do a turbo mode, and it's just a quicker version of the normal one. By changing up the sort of settings and the way it plays out is really interesting. So I played a couple of modes of that, thought it was pretty cool. And enjoyed it. And then the normal mode, like I've just been playing a ranked, every night or two. I'll jump on for a couple of rounds. I played a game last night that I won barely. I got down to 2 health, and I was in 7th place, and I just managed to roll like what I needed to. I had no money left, like I was broke on 2 health, and I had an Aegis, and the dude beat me, and the Aegis broke, and then I went on like a 10-game winning streak after I rolled what I needed, and ended up winning that game.
Nice.
It was really good. I had a build of like I had mages. I had the new Spirit Alliance, so I had all 3 of them going. So I had like an Ember Spirit, Earth Spirit, and Storm Spirit were the 3 I was using. And then I had a bunch of mages and a couple of scrappy units as well. So I had Alchemist up there doing some damage. And I think I had Sniper maybe, can't remember. Another scrappy unit. And I just managed to go like on a 10-game winning streak and just got out like just barely. So that was pretty fun. So I'm really digging that game a lot. I think it's excellent. It's my sort of go-to game at the moment, where I've got like you know, I'll chuck that on and I'll listen to a podcast, and
Yeah.
or like I'll chuck that on and I'll have the basketball on the other screen and I'll watch basketball. Like that is
Yeah.
like my game where I can do that. I can't do that with like PUBG or like Legends or something like that. Like you need to be focused on those types of
Yeah.
games. Whereas with Underlords, it's a strategy game, and so you've got some downtime in there. You got time where you're not even doing anything. You're kind of just sitting there waiting for other people to finish, and so I can then okay, go watch some basketball while this is going on. Or, yeah, it's a really good like. You don't need to be 110% focused on a game. So that's why I like playing it a lot. So it's really cool. I dig it a lot.
Yep. While we're talking auto battlers, shall we shift across to the other auto battler, which is
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Hearthstone Battlegrounds is obviously Hearthstone auto battler. Eight players at once, which is the traditional auto battler style.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still extremely Hearthstone. So instead of units on the board, it's minions. Like you play cards and like minions as a result, and like those minions attack automatically. You don't have to tell them who to attack or anything like that. It is proper auto battling. But yeah, it's still very much a card game. You've got like a how many fucking minions can you fit on a fucking Hearthstone board? 7, I think. So 7 units on the board, and they will auto attack, and they attack left to right. So there's a bit of positioning play, but overall, Battlegrounds to me is like they're doing the Blizzard thing of babies first. You know, like I don't know, like why they're so addicted to this idea, but because you know, like StarCraft shows that they don't have to be baby's first RTS or whatever. That's the fucking that's daddy's fucking RTS, right? Like that's the one you graduate to, right? When you finally playing the fucking baby shit, you get to StarCraft. For some reason, for whatever reason, they've reversed everything and they're now like all in babies first. Babies first. MOBA is HOTS and babies first. Shooter is Overwatch, and like they just fucking love that idea. I have no idea why. Hearthstone is not baby's first card game either. Like it's a complex. It might be a little simplistic compared to Magic, but Magic is insane. Hearthstone's more complex than a bunch of other, like just by nature of having been out longer. It's more complex, but nevertheless, they've gone for the babies first thing, so it's extremely simplistic. There's no economy management in the sense that there's no like interest or anything like that. There's no grid positioning. It's left to right only. You don't determine who they attack or who on your team gets attacked. You only determine the order in which your characters will attack, so left to right. And there's no 3-star upgrade. It's only 2-star only. And it's simplified, right? And it leans pretty heavily on RNG as an evening tool, as a balancing tool. But when you dig deep into it, it feels fundamentally quite unbalanced. And that's because it's only an open beta. So a lot of my criticisms for it can be rapidly fixed.
Yeah.
But I do think that on some level there are too many layers of RNG. I wrote down what I thought were all the RNG layers. There's RNG in the heroes you attack. So from the outset, heroes you choose. So from the outset, you pick a hero, right?
Yeah.
And the hero has a different ability. It's sort of similar to the Underlord, but these abilities are massively game defining. They really, really define your play strategy and what you will do in a game of Battlegrounds. So you might have, there's Lich King, right? You might get Lich King, and he will make your, I believe it's rightmost minion respawn. So he gives them the reborn trait. So when you activate his hero power, he will give them reborn. So when they die, they come back to life. However, for some reason, it's got to be a bug because he's utterly useless this way. But they come back without any of their buffs. So if you chuck your beefy thing all the way on the right and then reborn them, they'll come back as like a 3/1, and you're like, okay, well, they're no good to me now. And yeah, he needs very specific units to have any fucking use at all.
Right.
Basically, right? Like you can't reborn like if you're going beasts, right? There's a instead of race and class synergies, it's only got tribal synergies, right? So tribal synergies: Murlocs, beasts, robots, demons, and yeah, if you're going beasts and you try to reborn your scavenging hyena who gets +2/+2 anytime a beast dies, and you've had fuck tons of beasts die, and your scavenging hyena is 54/64 or some shit, right? Like just fucking beefed, right? Dies to a poison, reborn, comes back as a 2/2, points. Like maybe makes it up to 10/10 by the time the other beasts die. Beasts on your board die, but no, probably not. Probably not that big a deal, right? At best, right? His best use, Lich King's best use, is you put the hyena there so that if the hyena is one of the first attacked, never gets the opportunity to buff himself up to a point where he can live through that shit, right? Then he comes back and will still buff himself up for the rest of it, right? Because you don't get. I have not under any circumstances worked out how you can determine who will be attacked first, except via the taunt mechanism, like a shield logo around a unit indicates that they will always be attacked first. That is Hearthstone classic, right? Taunt is was one of the first fucking things in Hearthstone, right? Everyone understands that. I don't think it's out of the ordinary for it to exist. I just don't understand how, if you don't have taunts, it sort of means, it makes it feel like that's the only reason taunt exists, right? Like, is so that you can, on some level, control where an attack will go. Otherwise, it's a full-blown dice roll, which feels really bad when that scavenging hyena gets attacked first. It also means that you can never it's Battlegrounds is a game where you're supposed to put all your eggs in a basket, right? It's about remember. No, it never really happened in Underlords, but in auto chess, you would always have like one carry character. You'd have one character that you chucked everything into and designed your entire team around buffing the fuck out of, and you'd put all your items on that one person and they would get built to fuck, and then they would just fuck everyone, right? That was the auto chess game. This, you gotta have two, basically. You gotta have two. What the fuck? Apparently it's drill time. You gotta have two ultra carries. If it goes again, I'm gonna have to go have a fucking look. You gotta have two ultra carries because, like, basically, otherwise you can't rely on one thing living. There are too many instant death situations that will result in you getting fucked, right? So, yeah, you got to have your beefy fucking hyena, but you also have to have beefy something else, right? You got to work that shit out. That's decent strategy. I appreciate that, but that's just one of your hero powers. Then there are other ones like buff a character of a certain tribe in your team, and you can use that to buff like some characters well up, right? Every time it happens, it changes. So you will hit it and it'll buff a Murloc in your team. Hit it and it'll buff a demon in your team. Hit it and buffs a beast in your team, and it sort of cycles through all the tribes. And what that results in is usually people finding a Nightmare Amalgam, which exists as one of, like, it's part of every tribe, and they just super buff that, and you wind up seeing, and that's a very common strategy. Bran, I think it is. Anytime you play a minion with Battle Cry, they get plus a random minion on your board gets +1/+1.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The synergy for this dude is out of control. He's probably, I think he might be the second best in my experience. He's definitely, I've had the most success with him, except for one other fucking character. One other character is utterly broken, but this dude is pretty broken. There are so many fucking Battlecry minions, and all you do is you play, like, you sell, you get 7 minions on your board, and then you just like cycle through. You'll buy minions for 3 gold a piece out of the cards you've been dealt, and you sell one off the board, place another Battlecry down, sell one off the board, place another Battlecry down, and you just sort of fucking super buff all your shit by dumping stuff as quick as you can. The broken dude, Dancing Daryl, he will buff. He has +1/+1 to he does this twice anytime you sell a minion. And so for him, you can turn your board into literally unbeatable. I had a game where I didn't lose a single fucking round with Dancing Daryl. Basically, all you do is you sell, buy. There was obviously a little bit of luck involved. But if you buy everything except for one, he will +1/+1 that last minion. So you buy all the minions, all 4 other minions. Like there are 5 up there, right? You buy all 3, and there are 4 up there, and you buy 3 of them, and you leave 1 up, and then you just sell, and you can buff that 1 minion up to the fucking wazoo. You can fucking chunk it all the way fucking up, and then you put it down. And by the time you put it down, whatever the fuck it is now a +12/+12 or whatever the fuck, right? You can do that constantly. If you really want to fuck some people, right, and you feel like you didn't get anything out of it, out of a certain role situation, you just buy everything, right? And then you wait a turn. If you feel like your board's already good enough to win some rounds, you buy everything, and then you buy everything. And then 2 rounds have passed, and then the next time you buy 3, leave 1 up there, and then you sell fucking everything. You sell fucking 12 minions all at once. And what walks out of there is a 24 plus whatever the fuck it was, and you dump it on the board, and you're Gucci. And then you get 2 of those, you do that twice more, and it combines into some sort of fucking 91 beast machine. And if you do it on an amalgam, which is a Murloc and a fucking and a robot and all these things, right? You can then add other buffs, right? You add poison to it, you add taunt to it, you add fucking divine shield to it, and you turn this one thing that was already pretty unkillable into a unstoppable beast, and you can basically just get rid of everything else. You don't do it because you then tech into whatever you're facing off against your opponent. But yeah, this one thing is unstoppable. I've done it 3 times now, and it is disgusting. He is utterly broken. That I was doing all the levels of RNG. So that's the hero, right? So hero selection is at the start of a fucking round, right? RNG immediately. If you don't get, there are some utter dog shit fucking heroes that you can get where it, honest to God, feels like you've got 0% chance of winning. But you've got a fairly high chance of not even fucking placing. right? Like it's going to be you're going to have to be playing some real fucking potatoes to actually have a chance of getting in the top 4. So it's actually in your interest to sort of just bail on that game, right? Because you're not going to get anything out of it. You are going to lose your matchmaking ranking anyway, so maybe you just fucking quit, right? What's the difference? What's the difference between coming 7th or 8th? And if you're going to come 8th, why don't you just fucking quit now, right? And then on the flip side, if you get a choice of one of the really good ones, yeah, you're set, right? That's the first level of fucking RNG. Obviously, there's RNG in the minions you get offered, but that's the game, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
The problem is that you can't see. If you click on the other players, you can't see what their board is. You only get to see their board when you actually play against them, which I think is a fundamental issue because you can see their win percentage, like their track record, but you can't see them like what they're playing. You can't see what tribes they've got or anything like that. That'd be like at the very least, it needs an icon saying they've got fucking 5 Murlocs or something like that. So you know they're going Murlocs, right? Because you don't know what you should or should not be buying, right? There are only 18 1-star cards in a fucking like on board at once, right? There are only 18 of them. I believe that's the number. So if everyone's going Murlocs, you're never going to get the golden Murloc of your dreams. It's never going to happen. But you've got no fucking way of knowing that until you face off against until you face off against all 7 other fucking players. It does the auto battle thing that I fucking hate, where you play the same person multiple times. It is unbelievably unbalanced because you will play against dead players later rounds. In later rounds, when there's only 3 people left, it doesn't play you against a clone. It plays you against someone who's dead.
Right.
These are guaranteed wins. Guaranteed wins.
That's still...
if you lose against a dead player, you sort of deserve to fucking lose. So yeah, that's not good. That's RNG, and it's bad RNG. What else? I wrote it all down. Let me see. Yeah, 0. RNG and who you're going to fight player-wise, RNG and who the minions attack, and that's about it. It's still too many layers of RNG in my opinion. And then, yeah, after like turn 9 or so, turn 9 or 10, you take more than half of your damage a turn generally. Everyone's buffed. Everyone's gotten their tavern up to a certain level. The only time you don't get your tavern up to a certain level is Dancing Daryl, because you've got literally no incentive to. Because you're better off buying low-level shit and then pumping up the one thing. It's easier to manage the amount of minions on your board if you never go past, I think it's 4. So the minions that you do have do a fuck ton of damage to other minions, but the amount of damage you do to a hero is based off the star level of the minion. So and plus your tavern level. So if you're tavern level 4 and you've buffed a level 1-star minion up to fucking 100, and that's the only one that lives. Right. You'll do 5 damage, right? But if you're tavern level 6 and you've got tavern level 6 minions and they do damage and like 3 of them live, you'll do 24 damage. And everyone except for Patchwork starts with fucking 60 starts with 40 health. So 24 damage is more than half your health. You are at that point 2 losses away from losing it all, which doesn't really give you enough time to. So basically, yeah, there's no time to fucking tech, right? There's no time to change your tech. If you lose 90%, like 60% of your fucking health in one fucking round, there's not really a lot you can do. If there's only 2 people left, right? If it's you versus the other person, you basically resign to death. If it's 3, you hope you get the dead person. So you got another fucking extra round. But there's a very good chance that if there's 3 people left, you'll still wind up facing like the same person the round after. Even though technically with a dead person, there should be a pool of 3, right? Like you're 1, right? And there should be a pool of 3 because someone faces a dead person. That's not how it should work, but that's how it does work. Despite this, it will put you up against the same person multiple times. I just don't agree with that. Anyway, my biggest problem, I think, is that it feels extremely unbalanced, like extremely unbalanced. And it's an open beta, so there is room for them to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the changes they would need to make to fix it are dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the heroes stuff gives Battlegrounds a lot of flavor, but I think you'd have to eliminate it. I think you'd have to get rid of it to have any hope of balance, because otherwise there's always going to be there are so many. I think there's like 13 heroes to choose from. You only get to choose from 3 at a time. But there are so many that there's just no way you're ever going to balance it correctly. And yeah, the difference in power levels between these heroes, the difference in like percentage chance to win or prospects for victory are fucking crazy. That's not to say you can't win with the bad ones, but because of the extra layers of RNG, you don't have a lot of fucking control over your destiny. The good ones, you've got a lot of control over your destiny. And if you redefine a victory as a top 4 finish, then I think you can win every game,
Mm-hmm.
or like almost every game until you've breached your MMR. But yeah, if you define a victory as an actual fucking victory, yeah, it's heavily dependent on the hero, and there is a lot of other RNG in there that will factor into whether or not you win, and it doesn't feel good to me. Right? That's not a. I want to feel like I made the best decisions I could, and that led to a high percentage chance of victory.
Mm-hmm.
What it feels like instead is I make the best decisions I can, and then it doesn't matter. And then I roll some dice. It feels independent on my decisions, right? My decision making doesn't have a great enough impact on my victory condition. You know, that's my problem with it. And yeah, it reminds me a lot of Artifact in that way, in that there were too many layers of RNG, so that by the time I was winning or losing a game, I never really felt like I was the one who had championed that destiny. And I think that's very important in basically every fucking video game, is you're supposed to feel like the champion of your own destiny. Mm-hmm. You can still, like, you play PUBG and you can get gifted a circle over and over and over again, but you still need to be able to get the fucking Chicky D yourself. And we are like, I had a game the other fucking day. I don't know if I talked about this last week or not, but we had a game on Miramar where the circle, like, we started at fucking Power Grid. Shoot me. But we started at fucking Power Grid. One Power Grid, right? And then the circle ended at the field southeast of El Pozo. So ultimately, to get into the final circle, all we had to do was move about 800 meters, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't do that. We went all around the place trying to find extra loot. And we went, like, we basically went on this fucking journey, right? This massive fucking epic journey from one shit fight to another, like, just constantly getting fucked on until it finally ended. So we went, like, fucking north of Power Grid to a location so we could get some loot. And then northwest of there to another warehouse so we could get some loot. And when we got to that warehouse, we started getting got fucking fifth partied. We were getting fucking sniped. Everyone except for me went down at some point in this game. Got downed. We got everyone back up. While we were getting sniped, another team started sniping us. It was distinctly another team. I checked. Distinctly another team started sniping at us. They weren't sniping at our fucking snipers, just at us. So now there's fucking two teams getting in on it. And then a third team came in and started attacking us from the fucking... So we're getting attacked from the west, then we start getting attacked from the east, and then we start getting attacked from the fucking south. We're just in the middle of fucking... We're in the middle of a bukkake, and we're waiting for the fucking... The cum torrent, I guess, at this point. We're waiting for the bukkake. We're just getting fucking dumped on. And, we just couldn't do much. So we made the best fucking decision we could. And I got a knock. And then, when we got that knock, we immediately left using that. So I got a knock to our east. So we went to the car, got in the car, and drove away to the east. Because we knew that they would be helping each other out. We still copped a bunch of shit on our way out, but we managed to get down to another location where we immediately started getting fucking sniped again from a different fucking team. And then so this was on the mountain that's east of El Pozo, that big mountain. So we're on that mountain. The circle shifts desperately away from us. We're well out of the circle again. It's on that fucking field on the other side of the mountain. Our car's fucked. We're getting sniped. So we dropped some smokes and we ditched out. And we basically just did our best to get back in the circle. And wouldn't you know it, the circle then moves to the opposite side of the fucking giant open field from us. I think there was still 24 people left alive. So 6-ish teams, 5 including us. We were all still up at this point, but we had to cross a wide open field. And we are still in charge of our own destiny at this point, right? It doesn't look good. Our path to victory is a fucking tightrope walk, right? It is narrow as fuck. Right? But we're still in charge of our destiny. That's what I fucking like in a fucking video game. We won that game. We should not have won that game. We finished that game. I finished that game on 50% health. I'd already used all my bandages. I'd already used all my bandages fucking ages ago. I didn't have a helmet, and my vest was at fucking 50%. We literally had to run into an open field. I think Trig had 3 bandages left, no stims. Neither of us were at full fucking health. We were both separated because we couldn't get fucking close enough to one another to swap bandages or anything because we didn't have any fucking utility left, right? We were just sort of fucked, but we had managed to get into the circle and get the slightest amount of fucking cover. The team that we're facing off against, they had to run down these hills into the circle. So the very last circle, we didn't get circle fucked. We didn't get gifted. It wasn't like we were put in the circle. We still had to move into the circle, but we made the correct decision to move into the circle as soon as possible so that when we had managed to find some cover, the other team who decided to move in late, I think they were trying to scope us out, they were free, right? They had no choice but to fucking sprint down a fucking hill, and we got to pick them off, and we got the Chicky D. We should not have won that game at all. At all. But we were in charge of our own destiny. We managed to fucking get there. RNG was against us. 100% against us, but we still got it, right? That feels fucking good, right? And we never, at no point, did I feel like we had zero fucking chance of winning, right? That's not the case in Battlegrounds. There are moments where I feel like I have zero chance of winning. I still have a chance of getting into the top 4, which, yeah, a lot of people count as a win in Battlegrounds, but not me, right? It's the Chicky D or nothing, right? Number 1, If you ain't first, you're last. And yeah, I feel like that constantly in Battlegrounds. There is no path to victory. There's a path to relative victory, but it's not good enough for me. And I feel that feels bad. Anyway, yeah. So that's my thoughts on Battlegrounds.
Fair enough. I think the one complaint that I heard when I was speaking to people that played it at BlizzCon was that the UI was pretty much the same UI as a regular game. Have they made any changes to that at all? Because you talked about how like you can't see what other players are doing, but have they done anything else in there to like give you more information at all, or is it pretty much just like the regular Hearthstone UI?
It's very similar to the regular Hearthstone UI. You can see the other, like you can see what heroes you're up against. Their little hero portraits are there, and if you hover over them, you can see. I believe it's their Tabin tier, and yeah, with like their last, like their win history.
Yeah.
So you can see if they've got like blah blah blah. They won their last game, they lost the one before that, etc., and how much they won by, but you can't see much else beyond that. That's about all you can see. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that really changed in terms of the UI.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Do you want to talk about PUBG then?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I've said my bit.
I played some PUBG with you
of the week. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I fired up my VPN and jumped into the Australian servers. Ping wasn't fantastic.
Yeah.
It was about 170 I was getting. Which is with the VPN off, I was getting about 185, 180. So a little bit better. But it's still definitely noticeable. And first game we dropped in, I like murdered two guys like straight off the bat, and I was just like, all right, I'm back, baby.
Yeah, that's huge. Went huge immediately.
Yeah, we had a couple of good games in there. I think like we didn't win any games, but we were getting top like 5 finishes for most of them that we played. There was one game I think I got about 5-6 kills. We started off at El Pozo. No, what's the main area in Miramar that you always drop at? Los Leones. We started off in there, and there were like 3 other teams fighting at one stage, and we eventually got out of there on top, and ended up in like a building further to the west, and ran into like another team there, and we were like having a battle like across the ridge with one team, and then someone else came up really close, and that was where I think you ended up dying outside because we needed to go. Like someone else was in the buildings across from us, and then they sort of like high school demountables, like in a U shape, right? And we were in one side, and there was another team on the other side who were having pot shots at them. Eventually they left. Heath shot me. Yeah. So eventually they left, and they came around to the back through towards our building. Yeah, and this is where like you got lit up by Heath.
Like fucking done. Like done. And we fucking would have won that game if it hadn't happened. But yeah, basically, I guarantee we would have won that game. I knew the dude. So basically, I jumped out the window, and Heath saw me fall in front of him, and then just fucking opened up. Took me down to 5% health, and I was so distracted because I like in my mind, right? You know how it is, right? Like you mentally account for everyone in an area.
Yeah.
And so I'd mentally accounted for everyone and gone out the correct way, like jumped out this building in the correct direction so that I wouldn't be shot on landing.
Yeah.
And still got shot on landing. And I'm like, hold up. And then, but like I was also halfway around this corner, and I knew this dude was here, right? I was ready to fucking do him. So I had specifically pushed further than the corner, right? Because I didn't want to give him the tight angle on the corner. I wanted to push out because I figured he'd be specifically attempting to hold that, right? It's like it's common first-person shooter shit, right? Like if you push further out, yes, they get more chance to shoot you, but it is not the specific place where they're just going to spray and recoil control. So you actually managed to shift them a little bit, right? So I jumped across, and then, but in my mind, I was still trying to work out who had fucking shot me. And so also I was on 5% health, so I never really fucking worked out. I didn't get any fucking shots down range at him because I was still fucking shook. And then, like, it must have been like 15 seconds later after I died, I'm like, did you shoot me, Heath? Like, because I, honest to God, could not process what had happened. Like, I just fucking couldn't. I'm like, I don't understand, right? Like, I'm like fucking that hangover meme where all the fucking math signs are going. I'm like, oh, that's yeah. And yeah, did you shoot me, Heath? He's like, yeah, you jumped in front of me, and I wasn't accusing him at that point, right? The accusations would fly soon, but at that point, I was legitimately trying to work out what the fuck had happened, because I was gonna, obviously, if he hadn't shot me, I was gonna relay that information across, so that we would have a better chance, but like winning, because obviously, if he didn't shoot me, someone else had, and you would have to watch out for him, or them, right? But no, it was Heath, and you were safe to. But like, I was just fucking stunned. I was full blown stunned. If you hadn't shot me, I would have gone around that corner and murdered that guy. I guarantee it, because he wasn't that good a fucking shot.
You got Heath.
Well, I think Heath was also. His brain was processing all the excuses he would need to come up with for shooting me, because he knew I was coming. He knew the fucking torrent that was about to fly his way. But yeah, anyway, if I hadn't died, we would have won that game. I guarantee it. Because yeah, after that, it was just like you got a fucking sick kill, head peeking. Now that was that game, right? Like you just head peeked.
I think I got two of them. Yeah, I killed the guy that was shooting you, and then someone else.
Yeah. And it moved out into the open field, but it was so. I watched that game end, and it was so easy. It should have been so easy. The guy who killed us, who killed you, wound up winning, and he had such a fucking good line on it. And if there were two of us there, or three of us, even, they would have had no fucking hope. Yeah,
right.
That was a bummer. But we came like fourth in that game. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, we had like 10 people playing, I think, at one stage.
Yeah,
around that, 10 or 11 in the server. Yeah, it was good. I haven't played much since then. I played a game before when the new patch dropped for the PUBG Labs live thing that they're doing, where they're giving you rankings now. So I just jumped into like a solo game and played. I came like 10th or something with like 2 kills. I was just in solos running around on Sandhawk, of course. So yeah, it's fun. We should definitely jump in at some stage. Keep playing that. I've seen you guys in there a couple times, but generally it's like, oh, it's a full team, so can't be fucked jumping in.
I found that usually once we hit 5, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a full team, I won't jump in.
Right.
But if you do jump in, like, we will quickly raise to a couple of teams.
Yeah.
I got no problem with splitting into 3s. Like, yeah, 2 teams of 3 is like only one more person after a 5. So yeah, I like 2 teams of 3 as well.
Yeah, cool. The PUBG Global Championship 2019. I went along to that over the weekend, which is I guess like the culmination of the last sort of season of PUBG. It's been going on for a little while. They've sort of like been building up over the last couple of weeks. They did like the sort of like each region had like a qualification stage, and then they had like a group stage event where everybody was sort of split up into different groups there. Then they had like the semi-finals where they had 32 teams, I think, were playing in that one. Or was it 24?
20.
I think it was like 32 teams all up. Then they eventually whittled down to like 24, but there were like 3 groups, and so it was like Group A versus Group C, and then Group
three
B
groups, 8, 24,
yeah.
It was a weird format.
And then like the bottom sort of 16 after all of those ended up going on to the grand final, which took place in San Francisco. What's that?
Top 16.
Yeah, top 16 ended up playing at Oakland Arena in San Francisco over the weekend. So, yeah, you hooked us up with an invite for that, so I went along on the last day. I didn't go on the first day, but did you manage to watch any of those games on the first day at all?
Yeah, I had it up. It was I don't know. It was good. It was pretty good. Gen G were fucking ripping. I wasn't paying super amounts of attention. I sort of had it up on another screen, and yeah, it was like sort of tuning in mentally every now and then. But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. I thought the setup was awesome. Like from a viewer perspective, it was a bit difficult to find the specific team channels. I don't know why they're as hidden as they are. But I found it really difficult to find them. But yeah, I had the main broadcast and the map up on 2 separate screens. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good fun. Very entertaining. Yeah, I think PUBG Esports works from a viewer's perspective.
It's so much better now. They've really tightened it up. There's some things they can improve on, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, like it's a really good spot right now. It doesn't feel like there's much downtime. Like when the game starts to getting to the end of the game, it feels like there's always something happening. You remember even a year ago, man, or further, they had the problems with people like not wanting to engage in fights, or you'd have half the team sitting in the water. And we always said from the start, like, you need to make this game about the kills, like buff those kills up, because when they first started running it as an esport, it was like placement points with the king.
All placement,
yeah. And so nobody engaged in fights because there's no reason to. With this season of PUBG, they end up going in the complete opposite direction, where basically first place was 10 points, second place was 6 points, and then each kill was 1 point. So all of a sudden you've got incentive to get some kills, because if you don't come first, you're coming last, right? As Vin Diesel would say. And so you've got like all of a sudden like you need to try and get these kills, because kills are extremely important, and we saw that coming out with this particular, or the way this event unfolded. Like, kills were definitely one of the sort of like the leaning points as to why this particular team won. I think the sort of change they did this season is really good, and they've put it in a really good spot for viewability. Like being able to watch it it's really great. And I do like being able to address the main complaint we had was like, you've got a specific team you want to watch. Not being able to watch it was pretty shit, because like, we want to watch the Australians, but we can't watch the Australians because the broadcasters aren't interested in telling that story. They're watching, it used to be like FaZe Clan, or that sort of thing. Like, it was always some of the European teams, and then they went to adding like the thing you talked about, like the extra cameras you can watch. Like, now there's a map camera, or now there is like a team specific camera, so you can go out and watch that team run around on the map, and that's awesome. So all of a sudden you've gone from one broadcast to being able to have multiple on the screen. You can have the main one up, you can have the map up on the screen, and then like multiple teams that you want to follow at the same time. So that stuff is a really good way to sort of portray the game and for you to follow along. So they're in a really good spot for that sort of stuff. I'll talk about the venue. So they had an Oakland Arena, which is the old Warriors Stadium they used to play the basketball at.
Is that why you're wearing that shirt?
No. That was just the thing I grabbed. It was in the pile.
Why do you even have that shirt? He's wearing a Warriors shirt.
They give us shirts on opening night.
Who gives a shit? Why don't you burn it? Why didn't you burn it, Luke?
Because
That's what I thought.
I'm
You
an
got
authentic
nothing. You're a
fan.
fucking Warriors fan now.
Yeah.
You're a Warriors fan.
Yeah, so it was at the arena. I don't know why at this stage. Like, I went there and it was maybe one of the most underwhelming esports events I've been to. Could be the most underwhelming.
Wow.
They so I got in there, and outside of sort of the like, you have the main arena, and then outside is like where they serve all the food, and they've got stalls for merchandising and things like that. Not really a lot going on. They had like a section where there was where you could buy the t-shirts and, you know, that sort of stuff. I had a look at some of the t-shirts, didn't really like them, the styles that they were doing. Just like there was like a plain one with like PUBG Championship 2019 and with like the logo they've been putting out. And they had a bunch of like cutesy sort of PUBG like bobblehead type t-shirts, just like stuff that I don't really associate with PUBG at all. So I didn't like much of the merchandising they had there. And a tattoo station where you could get the logo of the PUBG Championship tattooed on you. Not a real tattoo, just obviously a fake like tattoo thing. They had a station set up for the mobile game, which you could play, and then that was probably sort of like about it. Out the front, they had a Dacia sitting in, you know, you could go get a photo with, but like not a lot outside of the actual main arena that you can kind of like go into. And so like I compare that to what was going on at, I mean, events that I've been to, like you go to a the ESL stuff at like Sydney, where there's just stuff happening everywhere. There's like different vendors and there's signings going on and like all these things, or even like the Rainbow Six Siege stuff, like having just little sort of pockets of different things going on, artwork and like videos of like early development, like of the game, and being able to sort of not just experience like what is going on in the arena, but like go outside that and walk around and do all these other things that are sort of happening. Didn't really feel like any of that vibe at the arena for PUBG Global Championship. So like aside from that, once you got into the hall, it was really weirdly set up. Like they had an entire arena and they were using, I'd say maybe less than a quarter of the seating. So they had the stage set up in the middle, which was in these sort of like semicircular stations. So each team had like there was like 3 teams in each sort of like semicircle, and then on the sort of walls of this semicircle was like a screen, and you'd have player cameras on the screen, and so you'd have like a team sitting on one side, like on the left, and then in the middle was another team, and the right was, you know, your third team. And so they had these sort of like spread out in the middle for all 16 teams, and then the rest of the seating was like, just like a quarter of the seating of the stadium was used. It was just the lower stands as well. So the way you can imagine a basketball stadium set up is you've generally got like lower tier seating, and then there's like a elevation, and then you've got upper tier as well. And so there was no one sitting at upper tier. They had broadcasting stuff going on in some of those areas, but for the most part it was just like cornered off. And then it wasn't packed. Like there was empty seats all over the place. It was very like there was no atmosphere in this arena at all. It was super.
Wow. Okay.
Like there was definitely, people were cheering and whatnot, but it was quiet for the most part. Like to the point where it just all you could hear during this event was just people chatting. Like that's what it sounded like. And then occasionally like stuff would happen on the screen and people would start clapping and cheering. But that's how quiet it was. You could hear just chatter the entire time.
Is that like sort of, I don't know, like it's the nature of PUBG, right? Like there isn't much going on, and then there is.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's things going on. It's just like people just weren't really engaged into it. It was just talking the entire time, and like every once in a while, oh, there's something going on the screen now. Whereas, like, you go to one of those other events, like, I don't know if it was the same thing in Japan when you went there, but was it like just people talking the entire time, or were they like engaged in what was happening on the screen and getting really
Oh, they were
like
glued to
into
the
it and stuff?
screen. Yeah.
And so that's what like my experience has been at these esports events. Like, people are like
I
drilled to
think,
that.
but like, is PUBG more like those moments when,
Like basketball or like a sport.
like, in between,
Yeah.
like during the map of Rainbow Six at Tokanami,
Sure.
everyone was fucking like glued.
Yep.
But in between those maps, like, it was chatter, you know? Like, is that what's going on? Is there just that much more downtime in PUBG that people don't feel the need to pay as much attention? Or is it too difficult to pay as much attention
Maybe.
in a live environment? Like,
And I'll get
because
to that somehow later.
we had our watching esports channel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't jump in on the last day because I wasn't feeling. I was quite hungover. And yeah, I just didn't want to. I just wanted to fucking sit in my bed. I didn't want to get on Discord, basically. But people were chatting throughout the games and talking, but like, it wasn't. It was by no means PUBG chat.
Yeah.
You know, like, I would say it was variety, but then hinging back, like, it would be like watching the basketball, right, at a mate's place, right, where you're sitting there watching the basketball, but generally chatting with your friends, and then when something happens, you'd be like, oh, what the fuck is he doing? Or, oh my god, that was amazing. But then you go into chatting, you know, like. I don't know. That was definitely the vibe in the Watching Esports channel on our Discord.
Sure.
And I find that doesn't. It still happens when we watch other esports, like when we watch Dota and stuff. There's a lot of chatter, but it feels more Dota focused. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah.
So yeah, like the turnout was, it just felt like they didn't sell enough tickets. Maybe I never looked into how much tickets were going for, but to me it felt like they just couldn't fill the seats they were giving. Like, I had a map layout of what the arena was supposed to look like, and it felt like they were missing two like whole sections that they just didn't even bother putting people into. And there was just empty seats all over the place. Like, I feel like at that stage, you just want to get people in the seats and, just get bums in the seats. Like, it's such a huge difference. Like, recently I was at BlizzCon for the World Cup. That entire arena was packed full of people. And, like, the atmosphere in there was awesome. Like, you compare that to what was happening here, and it was just, like, so dead. And on top of that, the way the stadium was the arena was set up, it felt like they designed this arena and then didn't sell the seats. And so, like, it was just set up really strangely. So you had these semicircles set up, and the way you think of it, like, so there's three teams in these circles. And so where I'm sitting from, I can't see the player screens of people sitting on like the left-hand side of these circles, but also at the same time, nobody on the left-hand side could have seen that either because of where they were sitting. Like, if they had sold more seats, then the people that they would have pushed the seating further out on the sides, and then there would have been people that could have seen this stuff. But from where it was sitting, from what they had set up at that time being, like, nobody could have seen that stuff. So that's why it kind of felt like, to me, they initially thought they were going to sell more seats than what they did, and so they designed this arrangement for the players on the stage, and they just didn't sell the seats, and so they sectioned off all this side part, and then you had nothing, like, nobody there to look at this stuff. And so that's what I was sitting there being like, I don't know who, like, what, I can't see what that team is. Like, from where I'm sitting, I just don't even know what team, like half of those two teams are. I can't see what the other two teams are on this side. Like you kind of want an experience where you get the whole, like being there. You want to be able to experience the whole thing, and that's not what I felt. I felt like I had a pole sitting in front of me, and I could like my view was obstructed, and so that was a bit strange. Like it probably looks cool on camera at home when you're watching it,
Yeah.
but being in the stadium, you're like, I can't see it. Like you've got this cool stuff set up on this side, and you can't even see it. It's just really a strange setup for the way that they, ended up putting it. And the other thing that I didn't like was they had, so where we were sitting, they kind of had a bunch of screens up top. So they had the main broadcast feed, and then in between that, they would have the map, and then they'd have the main broadcast feed, and then the map, and then another broadcast feed. So they kind of had like three going at once, and then the two maps in the middle, and then behind that there was another giant screen which had the broadcast feed on it again, with a little like kill cam marker below that. And if you were down the bottom, sitting on the lower sort of like 5 to 10 rows, you probably could have seen that screen behind the players really easily. But I was sitting probably about midway up. I couldn't see the main, like the giant screen they had, because they were cut off by the other 3 screens, or the other 6 screens they had, 5 screens they had above it, which were the ones you were supposed to watch, right?
Right.
On top of that, they had a flyby camera set up going across the entire seating, and so they must have been doing flyby cameras of the event, like where the players were. And I guess I never saw the camera spin around for a crowd shot, but they were doing flybys of the like the players, the where everyone was sitting. And so you had this camera in front of the screens the entire time, sometimes moving backwards and forwards, and other times just sitting there. Like I've got a picture that I took of this fucking camera on a wire sitting in front of the map, just like right in the middle. And other times it'd stop like in the middle of one of the screens and just sit there.
But it's not going to show any of that shit during a game, right? What the fuck is the point of that?
Right. And so it's sitting there like for 10 minutes in front of like where people are trying to watch. Like
that's crazy.
They just like didn't think of stuff like this. Like people have come to watch, they've paid money to come to this event and watch.
Yeah.
And you're not giving them the experience they should. Instead, you're giving the people at home a better experience than what is happening here. So I didn't like the fact they had this crowd shot camera going and obstructing the view of people that had paid money to be here. The other thing is the cameras. Sorry, the displays I talked about. One of them was the map, and the map needs to be redesigned for this particular. For what they're trying to do. I think having a feed for the map is fantastic, and being able to bring that up at home is awesome to watch. I had an eye test recently. I've got perfect 20/20 vision. I couldn't tell you what the fuck was on that map.
Oh, okay.
Like from where I was sitting, all it was just a bunch of text with colors, and I'm like, I can't see what teams are, like, as somebody that's eventually like, once it's sort of zoomed in and like players sort of whittled out and whatnot, like eventually I was like, I think that's that team. But for the most part, you've got like, how many players are there in a game? Like 60?
16 teams times 4. 64?
Yeah. There's just icons all over the place, and you can't see anything. It's just like blue team and a red team here, and like, I couldn't tell.
How would you change it? What would you do?
So they kept flicking to a shot on the main feed every once in a while, where it would show you like where teams were running, like their movement and their position. Like, oh, this is where they've been. And in that particular shot, they had really zoomed in text. The text was really big. They needed to do that. They needed to make the text bigger for the actual teams, because I could read them perfectly.
Nah, because you can, like, even on the, like, it would be too cluttered. You'd have to do something else. You'd have to get rid of the names, I think, because the text was the names essentially. That was the real problem. Yeah. Like, you would have someone's name would go over the icon for someone else, and that those two would overlap, and then you'd have fucking zero hope of.
Right.
Like,
so you think just
which one of the like 18 Lukes who were playing? Did you notice there were a lot of dudes called Luke?
There's a couple, yeah.
There were a fucking lot of dudes called Luke. Anyway,
That's why they wouldn't let me play. They had too many. They filled their quota.
too many Lukes. Too many Lukes. Yeah. Yeah, like you wouldn't be able to work out who the fuck was doing what, except based on what team, like context clues, because they're in such and such team. They need to get rid of the names, in my opinion, and maybe even try to do something like spheres of influence or something. Like have so you could see conflicts as like when it was going to come. You don't like have Vendetta was purple and have like a circle around them like that was opaque that would collide with another circle so that you could see when conflict was about to happen from that perspective.
Yeah, so maybe get rid of the player names and just have like make the logo bigger and then have like the abbreviation underneath the actual logo so that I can see. Because having a logo doesn't really work. I'm thinking about spectating. Like if I look at a logo, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. From a casual person at home. And so having 100%. Like the little name or like the country flag or something like that.
3-letter code, I think, is good enough. Or you could have the 3-letter code and a country flag if you really, really wanted. But like that's what they should have done.
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
But as somebody who's watched a bunch of PUBG and knows these teams and like trying to be like, I can't read that. It's too small. The text is, and I wasn't even up the back. I was like somewhere just past the middle.
Even with the map screen up on my computer, I still couldn't fucking read it half the time. Like, and I haven't had an eye test recently, but I know I've got 20/20 vision. So, like.
I mean, the only information you're getting out of that stage is that there's someone around that area, or there is a team.
Right.
If there's two teams that are the same colors, it makes it even harder.
And there were times when, like, there were a couple of times when I would look at the map screen real quick, and I would see the lines projecting gunfire.
Sure.
And I'd be like, who the fuck are they shooting at? Are they just shooting for fun? And then it wouldn't be until you looked really close, and you could see there was another color underneath. Like the names, and you'd be like, "Oh, there's a second. There's two teams on top of each other there, right? They're actually fighting each other, and I can't make it out because of the way this fucking like thing's set up. Like that's crazy." Yeah,
right. And going back to sort of like the setup, I talked about how they had this semicircle and there were screens in front of each player, and they had players' camera faces in front of them. And then when the player was eliminated, their camera face would disappear and it'd go to like a green crate or something like that. But again, at that stage, you didn't know where teams were sitting. Like when you're in the stadium, there was no indication of like, oh, this is where FaZe is sitting. Or like if I walked into, after a couple of rounds, I eventually was like, oh, I know where FaZe is sitting because I've seen them go sit down or whatever. But like there's no text or there's no indication like, oh, this is this team. Or, for one stage I was like, I was looking for Lazarus at one stage being like, I don't know where they're sitting. Like I can't see. They must be one of the teams that are on the side that I can't see because I couldn't work it out. Right. So I think they need to put like some sort of team name underneath where the players are sitting.
At PUBG Fight or Flight here in Sydney, it was very easy to work out where everyone was sitting because they had a giant fucking name underneath them. So it was extremely easy to work that shit out. Yeah,
they had a name before the match started, but once the match,
that's crazy. Like they were switching to the player face. Yeah, insane.
Yeah, when they brought the players out from their 5-minute break, they'd be like, "This is where they're sitting." Maybe because the players were even confused. But yeah, once the game started, it's just a bunch of faces, and you didn't know what teams had been knocked out or whatever. So just from a purely spectator standpoint, I think it was poorly run.
Yeah, fair enough.
Every once in a while, they had like a
live spectator.
Yeah, from a live, they need to definitely do something. Like you compare that to like the atmosphere in the Invitational that I've been to for Rainbow Six Siege is like off the chart. Like they do the fucking Hunger Games cannons where people die. Like there's just none of that here. The screen sort of changes to be like eliminated, but you don't get a sense that people have like, oh, a team's gone.
Maybe do like, I think you'd have to look at like cricket or baseball, right? those would be more, have more, I think, from a live spectator experience in common with PUBG than basketball, right? But basketball and Rainbow or basketball and Counter Strike, that makes sense. But I think you'd have to look at something that has less pace with moments of high octane energy. That's what I think you'd have to look at for PUBG.
Yeah. They do good things with like, oh, something happened elsewhere, and they'll go and replay it because an observer was watching somewhere else.
But that's not live. That's not live spectating, you know? Like, if I'm talking specifically about improving the live spectating experience.
Like literally shooting players off in a cannon when they lose.
Finally. That's what they get. That's what you get. Like, I don't know, you got to find something. They got to find some way to make it a live spectator experience, because otherwise it's just going to be... Like, I think it was a very successful... Like, it was a very successful event. There's no question, in my opinion, that it was a successful event. Like, just from a pure marketing standpoint alone, I looked it up the day after, and it had overtaken. It was number one on Steam again. It was back at the number one position on Steam.
Yeah, because people were excited about it.
Yeah, right. Like, so from that perspective, it's definitely been huge, and you know they're back with high numbers again. Like, they're still in third, holding on steady to third, and
Counter Strike and Dota 1 and 2.
Yeah, between the usual suspects, but they overtook them on the Sunday. Like,
sure.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, definitely successful. But it sounds like from a live event perspective, not so great.
Yeah, they need to work on that. Like, they had a parachute drop, like a little like diorama thing would sort of come out from the ceiling and then like drop a bunch of smoke and then disappear back in the rafters after some of the matches. But otherwise, like, there's not like much going on there at all. It's just kind of the pace of the actual games are really good. Like, the downtime in between, they've nailed that. Like, it's about 5 minutes. So game finishes, player interview, a desk analysis, players come back out, and that's like 5-6 minutes, like really short. It feels like the momentum was really quick. Like, I think it started at 5:30 on the 5:30 p.m. that night, and it finished at like 10:30.
Yeah, right.
Like, really quick. So they've nailed that pace. In saying that, there still needs to be more in there. Like, I want to know why I'm getting excited about PUBG next year. There was no like, here's what's coming.
The roadmap, the
next
Rainbow
year,
Six
or
ploy.
Here's the interviews with the developers, or like, there's none of that. It was purely, we're here to play video games. And so you leave that event being like, oh, but I want to get, like, you know, the people that you're talking about who are jumping back into PUBG, like, they want to know like what's going on next year and like what is happening with this game, and they don't really advertise any of that. So I think that was a big missed opportunity as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
But otherwise, really fun event. Obviously, the very final match of the tournament was awesome. It came down to basically like 3 teams leading up to the last 2 games. It was a really close race between Genji, FaZe, 4AM, and then like 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th, 8th, like really close to getting up there. Like Na'Vi at one stage, sorry, not Na'Vi, it was one of the other Chinese teams, I think, like ended up with like a 1st place, and then like a 3rd the game before, and so they were like jumping up, and then Na'Vi was doing really well, and so like you saw all these teams that were really sort of out of the top 3, but all of a sudden really in the last couple of rounds pushed it and started causing some trouble up there. But yeah, that last basically 2 rounds were neck and neck between the top 3. It was kind of anybody's game, and it came down to a really good match. I think between 2nd and 3rd it was like 2 points. It was super close.
Yep. Yeah. it was awesome. FaZe Clan did were fucking highlight machines. There's a reason why they're one of the most popular teams in the world. They managed to sneak their way into the fucking finals
The
as it
entire,
was
yeah.
on the back of a spectacular fucking semi-finals performance in the very last match.
Yeah.
And yeah, they wound up coming fucking second. They didn't earn the second most amount of money, but
Mm.
yeah, no, it was as tournaments go, it was something spectacular for
Yeah.
spectators.
Because you didn't know who was going to win. And you literally didn't
Yeah,
know until like the last 2 minutes.
yeah, and FaZe were so close. If
If they would
whoever it
have
was that was
won,
last up,
it would have
if
been
well
really
whoever was
close.
last up, the last person alive on FaZe, they managed to get the best fucking flank on Gen G, a perfect flank, and they had them fucking dead to rights. They just couldn't get that last kill. If they'd gotten that last kill, I think they would have won it all. It was that fucking close. They were seriously one kill away from
Yeah. It was extremely close.
the ultimate Chicky D. It was fucking rad. Yeah, it was a really cool event from that perspective.
I think 4 a.m. with a team, were they coming first the map before, and then they got knocked out
Yeah,
in last place in the last round, and then dropped FaZe and Gen G ended up switching positions, and yeah, it was really cool to watch that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Kick off. So yeah, you kind of mentioned it, the prize pool in this tournament. I got some sort of issues with the way it sort of unfolded. So first prize, they used like a player sort of driven prize pool, sort of the same way that Dota does theirs, where people can purchase in-game items and then it contributes to the overall prize pool. And so it started off at I think $2 million, and it went up to I think six. They said at one stage it was around about 6 million. Or was it 4 million?
4, I think.
Yeah, maybe six was the conversion.
All right.
So first place was Gen G. They ended up getting 2 million. Second place was FaZe at 600,000, and then third place was 4am at 300,000 in terms of their what they got for playing. But then PUBG esports was started posting Twitter messages online, and that's when I got really confused. They had first place as Gen G with 2.1 million. And then second place they had they just completely switched it out, and so now 4am was in a prize pool of 1.4, and then FaZe was 700,000. And I thought that when I got home I was like, oh, did they get docked points or something?
Yeah.
Did I miss something during the ruling? Did they screw something up and they've all of a sudden switched places? But no, it turned out it was because of the in-game items that people were buying contributed to stuff that they were able to add to the prize pool. So they got extra. I think it was 25% of the earnings went to the actual teams as well.
Yeah.
And so 4am got $1.1 million out of the in-game items, and Gen G got 200,000 or 300,000, and then FaZe Clan got 100,000. Yeah, I've got an issue with the way that this was done. I don't like it. I don't like the way it's being distributed at all. I think there's a problem here. It really causes an issue with teams that are big teams in particular. There's a Chinese team that ended up jumping up $1.1 million. And you start ending up with this massive divide between lower populated regions like Australia or anywhere else in the world, where all of a sudden you've got this money that's being invested into these larger region teams, and you're coming into this issue where you're driving away competition basically. Like you don't see.
I don't know.
Well,
Like only because 25% went into the prize pool, right?
yeah,
And then another 25% went to the voting situation.
sure. But why couldn't have this been evenly split between, or more split in between, like the other teams, as opposed to going directly to the teams? It'd be like basketball sales, right? Or basketball jersey sales, and giving that money directly to the team, as opposed to splitting it, which is what they do to all the other teams. So it's a fair, like they can, that money can go into paying for facilities or into, recruiting other players and whatnot. What they're doing here is basically just giving a shitload of money to one specific team, and it's just pumping that team up all the time.
But like, okay, so let's say people watch the basketball because of the balls,
Sure.
right? Shouldn't they get half of all their jersey sales direct to them?
I think they should get a
They're
percentage of
they're
it.
the team. They're the reason people are like watching basketball at all, right? So shouldn't they get a big chunk of that revenue? Don't they deserve that by being the fucking popular team that people want to watch?
I think they should get a percentage of it, yeah, but not.
But that's all they got. They only got a
I think it needs
percentage.
to be a smaller percentage, and then more of it goes to the other teams.
Why?
To like, let's look at I don't have the stats up at the moment, but let's say let's look at some of the teams that didn't do very well. All right, in the
G2
like
Esports got $8,000.
G2
The
Esports.
lowest, 25th Atletico $12,000. Vendetta $16,000. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. All right. Let's go with $16,000 for coming, or 20,000 for coming 20th. Ghost Gaming, right?
Yep.
They're a name that's known. There's 4 players in the team. Coach, manager. On top of that, you've got the actual organization takes a cut. That's being split like 8 ways. Like the people that played in this event are making maybe what, $2,000, $3,000, and then tax on top of that. This is for like a seasonal event that is supposed to be a big deal.
Maybe they shouldn't have come 20th.
Right, but if
Like,
they're trying to make this...
I get what you're saying from the perspective of they should, like, esports players should earn a fuck ton more. I don't disagree with that on any level, right? All I disagree with is the idea that four angry men shouldn't earn a big chunk of their money based on the fact that they drew a fuck ton of eyeballs, right? Because at some point, they're the reason that like the success of PUBG hinges on people watching them, right? Like, if people want to watch 4 a.m., then they want to watch PUBG. So PUBG, the reason that they got to 4 million at all, the reason they doubled their initial prize pool is because people wanted to watch 4 a.m. to some extent, to an overwhelming extent. So
I mean, that's because
$1 million worth.
The actual crowd there was, I would say, like 70% 4 a.m. Like heavily focused on the Chinese teams, and that's just because there's a massive population as well over there.
Right, but like, I guess what I'm saying is, then why shouldn't they get the bulk of the money? Like, I think that PUBG should have put more money up.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is that more money needs to, like, they should have at least got a cut of it. But I think the cut was...
I just don't think the cut should come from the pick'em challenge situation, is what I'm saying. Like, I think it should come from PUBG Corp.
Yeah.
Like, I think if we were to do it, if we were to find a happy middle ground between both what you want and what I want, then 75% of PGC item revenue would go into the prize pool. So it would have been 5 million.
Yeah.
50% of that would go 50% of the extra would go into the prize pool.
Yeah.
So you would still have. So then it would be 5 million, which would mean that everyone would earn more money. They still wouldn't have earned all that much. There's 32 fucking teams, and then the other 25% would go into the Pick'em Challenge, and PUBG would take a smaller cut of the total item revenue. That's what I think would be fairer, because I don't think PUBG Corp needs to make, you know, what would they have made? I guess they would have made $2 million out of skin sales.
Yeah.
Right. I think $1 million out of skin sales is still a really fucking good haul for what they put together. You know, and maybe even better, it could be 25% goes to the PGC prize pool as it did. 25% goes to the Pick'em Challenge votes.
Mm-hmm.
So 4AM still walks away with their 1.1 or whatever $1 million, and then 25% goes to pumping up the fucking rest of the fucking world.
Yeah. And that's my issue, is that I think that the cut that they're getting is too high compared to like what PUBG Corp is doing.
Atletico won. Is that in? Let me just check if that's in USD. Shit. Atletico won 4 times. Just by getting to the PGC, Atletico won 4 times what they won out of the AUNZ Championship.
Hmm.
And they came 25th.
Yeah, they got $12,000.
Seventh last. Yeah, they
US.
12,000 USD, which is 4 times what they earned at the ESL AUNZ Championships. And Vendetta did the same. They got 16K, and they won 4,000 AUD, or 4,000 USD rather, for winning the AUNZ Championship. The incentive to play in Australia and New Zealand is dramatically smaller than it is to play basically anywhere else in the world. Like, you earn sweet fuck all for playing in Australia.
Yeah.
What would 4AM have earned for winning the Chinese qualifier, if they even did? They earned $98,000.
Yeah, for getting there. Yeah.
Like, before they even got there.
Yeah. Before
they even arrived, they'd earned 100,000 USD. That is what, like fucking. That's like fucking 20 times what Vendetta earned to get to the same place. See, now that's a disparity that I have a problem with. That is that's something they can fucking solve.
But the other thing I haven't mentioned is that you've got these teams in these regions that are being able to earn money off this stuff. On the other end, you've got, it's not like an Australian team can go play over in China because of the rule set they've got of being like, you need to play in your own specific region as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally agree. With that. Like, that's fucked. It's a fucked situation, and it leads to situations where Australians and South American players are directly disincentivized from playing PUBG in a competitive way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they have to gain out of that? And why would we be surprised when they wind up not doing as well as we might have hoped?
Yeah.
You know, like, what the fuck else are they supposed to do at some point? They can't. They're making sweet fuck all.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the 50% should have went to. I think 25% should have went to 4AM. Another 25% gets split up amongst the other teams, and then it goes into maybe a prize pool as well, and then PUBG Corp can have 25%. Like, they're basically taking 50% of the cut from that at the moment, and we don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah,
which is why I don't like it.
That's
the current
that.
setup.
Yeah, see that. I agree. I agree with you on that. I just don't think. Yeah, I think if the Pick'em Challenge incentivizes people to spend more on skins, then and if they are doing that because they love 4am, then 4am deserves like a bigger slice of the pie, right? I think it's not on 4am. It's not 4am's
No,
fault,
it's not
and
their fault.
they shouldn't be punished. And they shouldn't be punished as a result, right? Like they shouldn't be punished. They did their job. They got people watching. They got people buying skins, so they deserve to get some cash, right? It's not on them to be disincentivized, or they shouldn't disincentivize their fans to like prop up PUBG's fairly poor management of the scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Like if you say you give that 1 million, you split it up, and we're not doing the whole 32. We're just doing the 16 teams. That's $62,000 that you could have injected into the other teams, the top 16
Right.
teams. So technically, would have been pretty close for the top 16 teams to get 100K each.
Yeah. That would have been good.
And then all of a sudden, you've got some like economy going, and you've got incentives for people to do this sort of stuff, and you're getting
The bigger problem. The bigger
smaller
problem is
regions
the
invest.
incentive of like smaller regions to like we know that crime exists in esports. We know that people are throwing matches. I'm not accusing anyone of throwing matches. I may have said it loudly during some of the games. I may have been crying throw a little bit in the esports channel, but I was being facetious. I'm not saying that anyone is doing this,
Who's
but like if people like if we are talking about the sorts of if we're talking about fucking $2 million prize pools
Yeah.
versus $8,000, right? If you're pretty convinced that you're not going to do that well, that you won't make the top 16 or something, right? Top 16, like bottom 16, the most you can make is $20,000, right? So if you can be directly incentivized to not make, if someone says, "I'll give you $25,000
to throw a game, yeah.
to not make the finals,"
And that's not a whole team. That's one person that's maybe earning $2,000, $3,000.
right? Like that is a problem. That is a problem. When we start talking about amounts of like in the millions, there is a significant issue at play, and there are situations where teams will be tempted. If Australian cricket players can be incentivized to, or like cricket players around the world can be incentivized just because they wind up making a couple of $100,000 a year playing cricket, and these guys are making fucking way less. I think it is hyper naive to think that it's not going to start becoming an issue at some point. And yeah, the best way to get around that is to pay them enough so that it's not an option. It's not something that, like, not a consideration. Yeah.
Yep.
Like you can't just bank on the competitive integrity of everyone playing when we start talking about large sums of cash going to fucking teenagers. That's the problem, in my opinion.
Yep.
And yeah, we're going to start seeing that shit. We're going to start seeing it more and more. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, other than that, like the gameplay stuff was good. So I like what was going on in the game. Just bits around it. I'm like, could be done better. So yeah, we should find out, I guess, soon what's going on with the next season as well. What their plans are. Hopefully they kind of shake up the meta a bit. The one thing that I spoke to one of the Australian players about was the utility in the game, how much utility you can grab. There was some stats released today that I saw that like the highest amount of grenades thrown by one player was like 29 across by...
One player.
One player, yeah. That's across 12 matches, 29 grenades.
Right.
So yeah, I think utility. Personally, watching it, I'm like utility needs to be changed. There's too many grenades going off in that game.
There, yeah, yeah,
And I spoke to the Australian player, the last Australian player who was playing in the competition, Luke 12, and he
yep,
said he sort of agreed and said, yeah, he'd like to see something done with grenades. Like, I think his words were put a hard limit on the amount you can carry, which I think would
yep,
be a good idea. I think 2 grenades.
yeah,
Go back to focusing this game on being a shooter.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Because like grenades aren't a satisfying death. Like it's a satisfying kill, 100%. Right? I won't take that away from it at all. Getting the like Kobeing a grenade through a fucking window and nailing that shit, that's fucking awesome, right? And it is a skill shot, 100%. But it's not a satisfying way to die because it feels like death, like something a death you can't do much about, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a surprise death. You can't outshoot a grenade. You can outposition to some extent, but there are always situations where you are sort of just fucked, right? Like you just gonna eat grenades and die, and that sucks. That's a sucky way to die. That they can do something about 100% by limiting the amount of grenades. We might see some of the more unlikely grenades show up. Would it be a hard limit of 2 total grenades or 2 grenades per type? It'd have to be per type, right?
I think per type is fine.
Yeah.
Maybe even do like a two grenades, normal, 2 flashbangs, maybe 3 smoke grenades, something like that. I think smoke grenades are okay because I think they're fine. They're like kind of they're not doing any harm to people.
Yep.
Like they're a good way of maneuvering around an area you're really stuck at.
Yep.
But just the amount of times you just see grenades being lobbed, like four guys just throwing like 3 grenades each at like a rock. That's just not fun.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd like to see that be changed. It would be a good change. But yeah, I guess we'll find out at some stage what their plans are for next year. Luke 12 did say that they're looking at sort of the smaller regions, like they've got plans for them, but we weren't told what those plans were. So I don't know what's happening in places like here or Latin America or I think Japan is the other smaller region.
Oh, yeah.
And like you compare that to Rainbow Six Siege, right? Australia and Japan are 2 of the biggest regions in the competition because they're given the opportunity and they can do awesome things when given that the ability to do so.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, that was the PUBG Global Championships 2019.
Nice.
Let's keep going because
One more game.
we're starting to go on for a bit here. Yeah, Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. We played this again. We had a bit of a Sea of Thieves day last Friday, and it was awesome. They've recently done a new update, added fire as a mechanic into the game.
Yep.
Hyper entertaining. Added a new like Tall Tale, which is that lengthy mission quest. And yeah. I really fucking enjoyed it. I think fire makes things very interesting, extremely interesting, extremely tricky. Because I mean, just having a fucking red barrel on board is suddenly, well, we both fucking died to a red barrel, right? Like a red barrel, because I think something caught fire like below deck. Is that what happened, or do we get struck by lightning? I couldn't tell.
I think we were at one stage we were getting struck by lightning, which the barrel was on top of the crow's nest, and then you went and got it, moved it downstairs.
Yeah.
And then we got attacked by a ship, and either somebody on board blew it up or a cannonball hit it.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it might have been fire. Did we get attacked by? No, we got attacked by. Oh, ghost ship, right? It was a ghost ship and a Meg at the same time. We got ghost ship and Meg at exactly the same time because we were trying to fight that. We went to the fucking spiral lights. That's when this happened.
Right.
Went to the spiral lights. And yeah, somehow. So it was you, me, and Gerald, and somehow
It was me and you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and Gerald was present. No, somehow Gerald was the only one who didn't die, and he was like, "Yep, the ship's sunk. It's sunk." And so, like, but we both spawned back on the fucking ship. We're like, "No, it's not sunk. Fucking bail!" Fucking bailing out as fast as we can. We're trying to get this shit going.
And then it sunk.
Keep this ship going, and then it sunk. I think he might have thought it had sunk before it had actually sunk.
He gave up.
So that was he definitely gave up. Anyway, so yeah, it's awesome. I've seen some people complain about you can't really solo sloop anymore because fire is basically the end of your solo sloop adventure. Like you've got no fucking hope of dealing with a fire and a leak at the same time. So, yeah, it's kind of made that extremely tough, and I can definitely see that how that would be a problem. I don't even know how you deal with it, but when you've got like a 3-person crew, it just makes things a bit more hairy. There's a bit more to fucking take into account, and yeah, you just like fucking do your best to try to keep those plates spinning.
Yeah,
which is the pinnacle of Sea of Thieves gameplay.
but that was always my biggest problem with Sea of Thieves. Is I don't feel like the solo sloops should have been, or even the 1 to 2s should be matched up with the 3 to 4s players.
Right.
I think they should be separated because I like playing Sea of Thieves by myself.
Yeah.
But I never can because I always get destroyed by, I can't leave my boat on an island and go do treasure chest stuff, like go digging up treasures, because if I come back and somebody sunk my boat, like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm outmanned.
Yeah,
every
you
time.
sort of just you're literally outmanned. Yeah. There's not much you can't really forge your own destiny, right? Like,
but if I come up across against another sloop that's got 1 or 2 players in it, I've maybe got a chance. Like if I kill them both.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so we did another mission in our. I think
we're up to 7 or 8.
8. We're up to 8. We've only got 2 more. And I still really enjoy the puzzle solving of that mission. It was fucking tough to work out how the fuck this one worked, but once we worked it out, it all sort of made sense.
Yeah.
It was very confusing, but yeah, it made sense eventually. And then we turned it in. This one we had to start by dying, and we got the mission off the ghost ship.
Yeah,
which was I thought pretty cool.
And then we got our lights.
Yeah, we got our lights. We had you had red light, and I had the blue light, and so we were the police. We were the police ship. We were roaming around the high seas, flashing our lights and being the fucking police.
Telling people to pull over in their boat.
Telling people to pull over and drop what they had and all that kind of stuff. We were. If there were any cop on television that we were inspired by, I would say it was The Shield, Vic Mackey from The Shield. I'd say because we were corrupt as fuck, and we definitely robbed some cunts.
We certainly did.
We just parked at we parked at an island, and we just turned in, and we saw this ship out on the water. And they were sort of close to we got to the spiral lights. So there were just like lights spiraling in the sky. So we sailed over to it, and it was basically just a shit fight the entire time. Every time we went there, a Meg spawned and like ghost ships showed up, and we're getting ripped. But it had this fucking chest on it, and when you picked up the chest, like, it basically marked you and marked your ship, and people could see on the map where the chest was, and so they could basically follow you and hunt you down and kill you. And so we were a bit stressed about getting this chest turned in, but we got a bunch of other shit out of this fucking spiral lights, and we turned in fine. And then we went back to the boat, and out on the water there was this galleon that had been fighting a skeleton ship for, I don't know, fucking 40 minutes. And when they killed the skeleton ship, like, it came up with like this, the battle of the Sea of Thieves has been won.
Hmm.
And so it turned out there was the ghost ship cloud event where you fight wave after wave of ghost ships. And they'd basically done it, and they'd killed the ghost ship. And we were sailing towards them. We were like, well, fuck it, let's go see what they got. We might be able to get some stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
Have a cheeky peek. We sail over, and while we're sailing there, their ship
Starts sinking.
sinks. Like, it just sinks out of nowhere. We're still easily...
We're
like,
minutes away.
Yeah, they're on the edge of our visual range. And we're like,
Like
did
5
they
minutes
just sink?
away.
So free stuff, I guess? Because we knew that they must have had something because they just finished the event, right? We didn't know how they'd sunk or why or anything like that. Anyway, we're sailing over. A ghost ship shows up on us again. A random ghost ship. And a Meg. A Meg starts chasing after us.
Yeah.
And
Gerald's like hooking it with his
Yeah. We relegated Gerald. Gerald was only allowed to use the fucking harpoon because he was shit at everything else. And then as soon as he was allowed to use the harpoon, he was extremely good at the harpoon, although I'm pretty sure they've made the harpoon easier to use.
Yeah.
As soon as we gave him the green light to harpoon things, he harpooned fucking everything. He harpooned us into some rocks at one point because he was just seeing what would happen. And yeah, he harpoons this fucking giant shark. We're trying to not aggro the shark, and he harpoons it, which obviously aggravated it. And so suddenly we're in the fight with the fucking shark. He tried to harpoon the fucking skeleton ship, and we get over to where the ship sunk, and
That's the best part.
there's like a fuck ton of loot in the water, like a shit ton of loot in the water. But also there's a dude with in a rowboat rowing his fucking ass off away from us, and in his rowboat, it's piled high. It's got the most fucking treasure I've ever seen in a rowboat in my entire life. It is stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked. It's just fucking treasure city in this fucking rowboat. There's like treasure all like there's fucking 4 billion tons of treasure over behind our ship. And then in front of our ship is 4 billion tons of treasure on this fucking rowboat.
Yeah.
And this dude is just fucking banging it away.
Power rowing.
And we're like flashing our fucking lights. Yeah, we would not have seen him at all when we were running around. We were basically running up to try and get Gerald to stop fucking harpooning shit. Or to at least harpoon the treasure. And then the fucking Meg stopped aggroing us and ate his fucking ship, and it killed him. And so we just dropped the anchor. We dropped the anchor. We got all this treasure. It's like basically ours.
But also, there's like a pirate ship here, and there's a Meg, and we've just dropped the anchor.
We're just like, fuck this. Let's see what we can do. And so, yeah, we got one person like frantically fucking hammering boards, and like someone, like one of the others is getting fucking treasure. Sorry, the other two are getting treasure on as fast as we can. We're like,
I think it was you because I was fixing the ship, and you guys are out.
I was harpooning treasure at the front, and Gerald was swimming over to treasure at the back, and we're just fucking like getting all this treasure. And meanwhile, like a skeleton ship is like sailing around us and like shooting us periodically, and the Meg is, I don't know, like the Meg didn't really attack us all that much. Yeah, we got away with some shit. I think once it killed the fucking rowboat, it was like, I'm good,
I'm out.
I killed someone, that's enough for me. And yeah, off it went. But yeah, we just fucking get all this treasure. We get all the treasure on the boat.
We didn't know. Because
we didn't get it all.
I'm like, we're running out of planks. We need to go.
We're out of planks. We gotta go. And we're like, oh, fuck it. We got fucking tons. We had goofy amounts of treasure, like fuck tons of treasure. So we're like, yeah, okay, cool. So we sail off, and the skeleton ship is still harassing the fuck out of us. I don't know how we didn't sink this thing, because we nailed it so fucking sweet so many times on our way out. And then we managed to ram it into some rocks. Like, basically, I just drove it into these rocks and it just crashed into the rocks. But it didn't matter. I think I had like our last 5 planks of wood,
Yeah.
so I had to go onto like plank duty, and you were driving. We were trying to find where we're going next, our next location. So we
Yeah.
sailed off towards. We're just trying to turn in because as soon as we managed to shake the skeleton ship,
We hit it with a curse cannon.
that's what it
We
was.
dropped its anchor.
We dropped the anchor on it, and that gave us enough separation. But as soon as we managed to do that, the galleon showed up on our tail.
Yeah,
Like
we
they were
noticed there was
sailing
another
after
ship
us.
chasing us.
And we could tell because they had these fancy fucking sails, and
Like
it was
pirate
100% the guys they were tippy top super pirates, and they were chasing us. They were hard chasing us, and we didn't give a fuck. We didn't give a shit. We just went on the mad turn in. Our plan was to sort of circle the island, and we would drop stuff off and sell like the most expensive stuff. But then I noticed that they weren't turning around the island all that well. So I just dropped the anchor, and I'm like, we'll just take as much as we can. Fuck it. Like, it doesn't matter what we can or can't get. We'll just sell whatever we can and see what we get away with. And they attacked us, and it was one of the most woeful attacks I've ever experienced in my life. We ripped them to shreds. I was being toxic as fuck on the mic. I was like giving them so much shit. 'Cause why wouldn't you? And we had like it was free to the point where they scuttled their ship again and gave up.
Yeah.
We fucked them so hard that they literally just gave up.
We were transferring all these treasure while killing them. And then going back to the boat and doing it again. And every time they came over, we'd just kill them.
So we would take our treasure across the island. It wasn't that like I didn't park us in the best position. It was a bit of a hike, but we would go out, we'd come back, and like they'd be on the boat, and I think they were trying to sink us. Is that what they were trying to? I couldn't work it out. We'd murder them. We grab more treasure, go back over to the island. I found one of them on the island one time, so I dropped my chest and fucking murdered him. Picked up the chest, turned it in, went back, reloaded. Easy peasy. At one point, I did have to... I wasn't sure if I was going to encounter them back on the boat, so I went to the gunsmith and switched my guns, because I couldn't find the reload chest. But if I switch my guns, I get full ammo anyway, so I just... And away I go, back to the... And then I murdered him on the fucking boat again, and you murdered him on the fucking boat again. Joe did stuff.
He was hooking fish.
Yeah. And we got them good enough that they quit. And they did sink our boat, right? They did manage to sink our boat.
They did sink the boat, yeah.
So, but we still murdered them enough that they scuttled and quit the game.
Because there was no treasure left once they sunk the boat.
No, there was still treasure. There was quite a bit of treasure because me and Gerald had to swim out because you died, right? And you were bringing the boat back.
Yeah.
Me and Gerald had to swim out, and it was like a fucking ways away, and bring it back in, and we were like doing that and still killing them as well until they quit. Yeah, that was amazing. And then we broke for lunch, and it was highly worth it.
Yeah.
It was world class. It was a great effort. Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Good fun. Still keen to finish that fucking quest line off.
Yeah, for sure. There's a bunch we still need to get in there and do. All right, I think that's it.
Yep.
Should we do let's get some news out of the way. We talked about it briefly, but a new Dota 2 patch dropped, which is the big patch they put out after the International. This is like the big meta change they'll do for quite a while, and it's got some changes in there. Two of the big ones are new heroes, Snapfire, and who's the other? Void Spirit, which are also the two new characters that went into Dota Underlords. On top of that, they made some massive massive changes to the actual gameplay. Every player now gets their own courier. I don't know how that works.
Neither do I.
And while it's alive, you get extra gold per minute. So they've rebalanced like the gold per minute now. So everybody gets their own courier. Couriers can use certain items as well now. So that's a big change. Observer awards are now free, so you don't have to buy them anymore. That you just basically buy them as you go, and they'll run out of stock eventually. Everybody starts with 3 TP scrolls, which encourages more fights and also enables you to get back into your lane quicker if you die, which is an interesting change.
Right.
The map has been redesigned a little bit. Some of the areas have been changed. Side shops have been removed, and they've put in these new towers into the map called outposts, and they grant you extra XP, which I don't know how that works yet. I haven't played any of this stuff. I just watch it.
No. Yep.
So that's a really interesting change. The biggest one is they've added 62 new items in the game, which is bonkers. And these are dropped from neutral creeps.
Neutral creeps, yeah.
Which is insane. They've basically put fucking Dota Underlords into Dota. And so there's different tiers of items, 5 tiers, and each sort of like every sort of like 10 minutes, the tier...
It goes up a tier.
Yeah, it escalates, and then like a different tier of item can drop. And I think it's 10% per unit you kill, and it's like a pseudo-random chance. They've got that in there as well. And so you won't be able to sell the items, but you can swap them to other heroes on your team. And so you'll be able to kill these neutral creeps and get extra items out of them. From what I understand, the items are not overpowerful for the time that they're dropped in. So like they're good items to have, but if you're playing proper Dota and doing well, then they're not going to be as good as the items you've got. They're sort of like complementary items that you'll be able to maybe even give to like a support character or something like that. Doing that. So I don't know. It's a super interesting change that adds a ton of RNG into the game. But at the same time, it's like being able to manage that RNG will be interesting. So I don't know how it's going to affect the.
It seems like a lot of complexity to me.
Yeah.
Like it's adding a lot of fucking complexity.
Yeah.
It seems extremely tricky.
There's a lot. There's tons.
I don't know how it works as a viewing experience either. Like I don't know. It's a significant. The whole patch as a whole is a fucking massive change. Maybe too much, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's the adding 62 new items is like learning 62 new items and being like, what does that actually do?
Right.
If the commentators are on point and being able to describe that sort of stuff, then that's cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, as a casual viewer, being like, oh, what does a dragon scale do? I don't know. It's an item. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see how this fits into the meta. And maybe they just end up scrapping it at some stage. Who knows? Valve are pretty good at changing that sort of stuff and really throwing the meta into a spin. But it's definitely sounds like it's going to do that. They've also rejigged a bunch of the original items, removed certain things, reworked them, and then on top of that, your general like we're gonna go through and change every single hero and rejig how they work. And some of them have been nerfed or buffed slightly. Others have been like completely different spells and talent trees and things like that. Just your new normal stuff. And the best part about this is like the season is literally about to kick off. So like all the pros are just going to be like trying new stuff, and it's going to be really cool to watch them get in there and just really fucking break this game.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
Yep. Nice.
But that's
on that note,
yeah.
Did you see OG announced their new plan?
They're going to come back in the last 2 months and just win again?
No, they're going to do, what is it? What are they calling OG? So until the third major, I believe.
Yep.
They're going to be coaching OG Seed. So they're taking a bunch of OG Seed is 5 players that they think can be great,
Hmm.
and that just need some coaching until the third major of the DPC season. Back-to-back champions will be directing their talent, efforts, and energy towards coaching OG Seed, and then I suppose they'll come back
Jump back
together
in.
to make OG and then win everything again.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. It seems crazy. I guess it's one way to take a bit of time and whatnot. But
Yeah. That's kind of like the that's what I want to see, like, from the meta changes in like a PUBG, like go in and just do some crazy changes and just sort of, you know, rework things. That's why I like watching Dota so much, because every year they really just they break that game so much, and it just completely flips things on its head. So yeah, I don't know if the pros, like how that RNG is going to really factor into it, if it's going to be just like a nothing for them, like they'll be able to just deal with it.
yep.
But we'll see what goes on. What else do we have here? Apex Legends has a new patch out as well, and this is something you'll like. They've increased the level cap to 500.
Nice.
On top of that,
That's
they've
pretty
also added like a better like scaling system in terms of being able to gain XP. So they've made that a bit better, and also the you'll be able to earn Apex crates. Well, I forget what they're called, little robot things.
Ticks.
The cosmetic items, so you'll get the drops every sort of one level up until, you know, a certain point, and then you'll every 2 levels you get one, and then I think it maxes out at like every 3 levels you'll get a new drop. So that's really cool. That means that, you know, you're working towards something again, and you're getting items and gear again, as opposed to just nothing really much at all, which is fantastic. A couple other small changes in there as well. Like, I think once you hit 500, there's still ways of gaining tokens and things like that still.
Right.
So that stuff is a really good change. And then they're
Players can now earn a total of 199 Apex packs.
Yeah, out of 500
Previously
levels.
45.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was way from before.
And you'll still get like tokens, the Apex tokens, I think they're called. So that they're what you use to purchase new characters and whatnot. So you still get them every level, which is awesome. Yeah, it's a good change.
It is.
Nothing cool. Too big, but just some.
Should have happened fucking 9 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. And then what else we got? Battleborn is being taken offline in 2021. I had a look at this. There was about 15 people playing every month on average.
Wow.
I'm impressed they're still supporting it, to be honest, until 2021.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's like really rad that they kept going for so long. 2021 is more than you would expect for a game that has had sweet fuck all players for the better part of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So good on them.
I mean, 2K could just pull the plug at any time, I feel like. But, you know, at least they're giving those 15 players a year to keep playing the game. Next up is Amy Hennig has started a new studio with Skydance Media. They're a film and TV company who are getting into video games. Amy Hennig is responsible for Uncharted series. She was previously at EA working on a Star Wars title which was cancelled. Very publicly, she was quite upset about that sort of stuff. So, I guess we'll find out what she's working on, but it's probably safe to say it'll be a third-person action game.
Probably.
Judging by her past titles and what she's worked on, with like she did Last of Us as well, right? Or was it just Uncharted?
Yes, I'm pretty sure she did Last of Us.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And continuing the new studio news, we've got Wolf Eye, which is from Arkane's co-founder. Is it Rafael Colantonio, or is it just Raf
Colantonio.
Yeah, you've interviewed him before, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah. So
Um,
they've made games like Dishonored recently. What else did he do? He did Prey 2, right? And he was the one that
yeah,
took
that's what I.
the dagger.
Yep.
So
Right.
we'll find out what they're working on. It sounds like at the Game Awards, which is in about 2 weeks.
All right.
It's probably going to be a
Cool.
RPG stealth game.
Probably.
Maybe.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. But yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. But I'm excited.
Yeah. And that's the news. That's what we got for the moment.
Cool. Nice.
We got any questions?
We do have questions, maybe. 25th. Yep. All right. Fridge Monster Man writes, "Hi, Luke and Joab. Jedi Fallen Order sounds an awful lot like The Force Unleashed to me. How does the former compare to the latter? Also, I wonder if, much like Superman, Jedi are just too powerful for games. I want to hack and slash enemies with ease, one-shot everyone, and carve their bodies up like a Sunday roast, but game designers just won't let me." Fallen Order versus Force Unleashed. I thought the Force Unleashed 1 had a better storyline,
Yeah.
more interesting storyline. I guess being a Sith is a little bit more interesting than being some no-name Jedi. Yeah. In terms of gameplay, I think Force Unleashed knew what it wanted to be a bit better, because Fallen Order is a little bit torn between being a flashy, I guess, third-person platformer and being a Dark Souls Jedi game.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, they're both definitely quite similar in the sense that they're both third-person action games based around being a Force user in the Star Wars universe. And they're both kind of underwhelming to me. Both continuing the trend of Star Wars games being not that great, with the exception of a few very notable exceptions. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Me.
I don't remember Force Unleashed too much because it was a while back.
It was a while ago.
I feel like I liked the first one, but the
Yeah.
second one was a bit underwhelming.
Didn't like the second one. Yeah,
Yeah.
seemed a bit rushed.
But I like the idea of having like superpowered, like, or overpowered force powers. Like this shot of him, like grabbing onto the Star Destroyer. That sort of stuff is interesting. Like that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And are Jedi too powerful like Superman for video games? I don't think so. I think they just never utilized extremely well. I think it is definitely a challenge to balance them, but so far we just tend to get generic games. And those super powerful moments are always relegated to cutscenes, right? You rarely do that stuff yourself, which I think isn't ideal. But yeah, I also want to one-shot everyone when I'm a Jedi, and I want to be a super powerful Jedi. I don't want to be some fucking weenie ball.
They give you
Not
that
enough.
in Fallen Order. Like they'll just throw a bunch of stormtroopers at you, like
Yeah,
regular
that's true.
stormtroopers. But then there's like a stormtrooper that's got a different weapon, and he takes like 3 hits now, as
Yeah.
opposed to 1. But they definitely throw the cannon fodder at you, where you can just one shot them.
Yeah.
It's just that the majority of that game is not one shotting anything. It's breaking their stamina and then hitting them twice, and then them getting their full
Yeah.
their full stamina back. So yeah.
Yep. Good question, Fridge Monster Man. Baz writes, "Are you enjoying your move to the USA, and what are some things you miss about Australia? Maybe this will get him to participate in question time. More than likely, we'll just get good." I assume this is directed at me. I haven't moved to the USA, Baz. I don't really miss anything about Australia as a result, but good question, buddy. Thoughts, Luke?
It's a good question.
Anyway, answer the question, dickhead.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely easier for me to go to events, things like that,
Right.
access to
Yeah.
stuff. I think since I've been here, I've gone to LA maybe 4 times, four or
Right.
5 times. Um,
Yep.
that's a lot easier for me to get to on an hour flight as opposed to 15
15.
hours each
Yeah.
way, for a day or two. Whereas here I can
Fly
easily,
in, fly out.
fly in and out in a day. It gets me, as well as a lot better opportunities for um, like stuff that I wouldn't get back home. There's stuff here that nobody back in Australia is getting, but I can go to just because I'm here, which is really cool. So in terms of that sort of stuff, it's really good. Just like sort of the other day I went to, where did we go the other day? I think it was called the Emporium, which is like a video game arcade bar.
Okay.
Like this giant 2-story arcade bar. They had pool tables there, shuffleboard, and just like arcade machines, things like that were there. That was really cool. And just like a regular bar, like you don't find anything back like that at home.
Yeah.
Mainly because the places that are like that. What's that bar we've been to a bunch of times, like Bar 18,
1989.
19, yeah. But that's like this really small venue. This is enormous, like
Yeah.
humongous. Yeah, there's nothing like that back home. All the fucking venues have shut down in Sydney. All the cool stuff.
True.
So yeah, some good bars and whatnot. But being able to go to basketball and things like that is really cool. I'm going to a game tonight in like 2 hours once we wrap this up. I'm going to LA tomorrow. This week for a little while. I'm going to basketball on the weekends. I'm going to Galaxy's Edge. Like it's easy to go do this sort of stuff while I'm over here.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, why not? It's been good so far. I like it. I get fast
Yeah,
internet.
it's cool in Australia too.
What's that?
We got stuff. It's cool in Australia too. We got stuff.
Didn't you have like a?
I went to the park.
Yeah, I can't go to the park. I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, that's what I thought, motherfucker. Can't go outside because the air pollution from the bushfires has made it so that you're not allowed to open your windows. But
Right.
apart from that, it's pretty good in Australia.
It rained for the first time yesterday since I've been here.
It was 38 degrees 2 days ago, and then it was 14 degrees yesterday. So, getting fucking thermal shock every time I fucking wake up in the morning, which is also nice. It's 31 degrees today. Yeah, Australia's pretty good too, Baz. So stop being a dick and bring up the US.
Yeah. The one thing I miss is not being able to play games with you guys at 50 ping. Instead, I've got to deal with 150 ping.
Yep.
And still try and manage to carry everybody. It's hard. You've made my life much harder.
Classic. Absolute classic. Could you imagine if we did it the other way around? If I was playing at 150 ping? How hard would you have to carry then, motherfucker?
Oh, so much harder.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good question, Baz. You're actually going to answer stuff from question time. That's amazing. Cool. I guess that's the podcast.
That's the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Android Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all those wonderful places. The Gap, the GA Podcast. If you search for it, we should be there. Please rate and review the show if you have a couple of moments. It helps other people find this podcast because it's not hard. Well, it's not easy to find it sometimes.
Not easy.
Yeah. You can email us if you'd like to, thegapodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us any questions, or you can go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can leave us questions like Baz has, or you can jump in and play some PUBG with us when we got the PUBG going, or whatever. Sea of Thieves. I don't know what else we're playing recently. Other than that sort of stuff. I think that's what we're doing.
Yep.
You jump in there and talk about whatever you want. You can also find us on social media, which is facebook.com/GA podcast, twitter.com/GA podcast. You can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube. You can go to our website, which is thegapodcast.com, and that's got links to everything we talked about today, including past episodes of the show. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/GA podcast, and that helps us pay some of the bills every month that we have to fork out. Because, Joab, I don't know if people know this, but you've got a drinking problem. And you spend all the money on alcohol every month.
It's. I can't believe you put me on blast like this.
Joab needs more drinking money.
I don't think of it as a problem. That's my answer. It's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's your drink club.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone that does that every month.
Thank you. You're the best.
Immensely. No, it actually goes to paying bills. I think that is it. We're getting close to 500. I think we've talked about this, but it sounds like 500 will be once we get back from the break.
It does look that way.
The first week.
Yes.
Because we've got...
It seems like we will open a new year with... Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like 440... 449? Wait, where are we at?
So if we go 496 on the 5th of December. And then 497 on the 12th.
Yep.
And 498. Oh, no. See? No. It's going to be a couple after we get back.
No. You going right? Then we get the 20th?
Yeah.
And then we can drop one the week after for Christmas.
Oh, we just do a Christmas podcast. Oh, easy peasy. Yeah, no worries.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't look at the dates. No, I think we can maybe do one on the Monday or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, we're just not going to take a break this year? Is that the plan?
Maybe we'll do that.
We podcast all the time now. We're podcasting every day from here on out. So Luke can hit his fucking 500 marker before the fucking end of the year. Maybe we're going to hit 600 before next year.
Before next year. Yeah, we're doing 2 a month now. 2 a week.
Doing two a fucking day.
Yeah.
We're going to stop this one and go straight on into the next one. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how we go for content.
Yep.
Things might be starting to slow down.
Definitely going to start slowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
Good times.
We'll be talking about, I guess, Game of the Year stuff at some stage. So, yeah, start sending in maybe your Game of the Year thoughts somewhere.
Stuff you think we haven't played, maybe.
Yeah, things we need to check out.
Nobody suggests Death Stranding. I'll fucking end you.
No, that's terrible.
I've already played it too much.
All right, that's it. You got anything you got happening this week that you want to talk about? You like to pimp out?
I don't know. Check out redbull.com for some stuff. You've got a thing going up on redbull.com. Yep. An interview with Luke 12. 11 Luke's after you. And we've got an interview with Wasminator, Australia's best Mortal Kombat player.
Okay.
Heading up as well.
What does he think about the new Terminator?
I didn't ask.
Oh, that should be the number one question.
Should have been. Damn it. Got it. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie, and you're Joby Jojo, right?
I am. It's true.
Haven't changed it?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. That is it.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week with more of the Gap. See ya.